play, which is a hell of a lot better than last time. Okay, commercials playing. Let's get my commercial. Oh, we are live. Although it says we're not live. Go live. Are we live? Going live. Going live now. Okay. You are live. Here we are, guys. Me and Lou Rock, we're in separate, undisclosed locations somewhere in the world. Huh? Lou Rock and I. I'm sorry, I have been corrected by the powers that be. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain. Oh, it's lagging or something. Is it lagging, guys? Please tell me it's working for you guys.
It's lagging.
Is it? Are you serious? Man. Yeah, it's lagged up. What the hell? Interesting. Let me start taking things out of here, like the chat, because for some reason I want to say that is bogging us down. Okay. That's one thing. The alert box.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
I'm actually reading about the conspiracy stuff, about like the YouTube issues that we were talking about, and it's literally mentioned every single thing that we've talked about since we've started the show.
Does it really?
Yeah, the Apollo moon landing, flat Earth, miracle cures for serious illness, and it's considered extreme content.
Wow. Is it still lagging?
Okay, and it goes into Alex Jones being barred from YouTube. All right, so it's it says borderline. It says borderline, let's see here. Oh, doesn't quite cross the line of violating its rules. But YouTube has taken conspiracy shows out of the algorithm.
Okay, so it's taking it out of the algorithm.
Yes, and reason being was because of Shane Dawson. And Shane Dawson is a really big channel, and he covers conspiracy theories. And I guess that it started a lot of trouble between between the public and a few different companies that Shane Dawson has mentioned in these conspiracy theories. So yeah, I would say it's probably not too long before it is against the rules.
Well, I don't think it's per se against the rules, because it's all covered by Freedom of Speech Act and things like that. But if they took it out of the algorithm, that means they're not promoting conspiracy theory type shows and things like that. They're not. It'll never make it into the suggested file. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's why the name change on the show, guys. We are now calling it Question Everything, but it's still a conspiracy theory type show.
But it's so funny that all of the mentioned subjects in this article we have talked about. Everyone.
Every one of them, huh? Yeah, see, we was pushing those buttons without even knowing we was doing it.
Yup.
So I was doing my homework today, and I come across the good one. Did you know the Titanic did not sink?
Oh gosh, I know I go for some crazy ones, but
Well, no. This one actually has some legitimate type evidence behind it. Now, when the Titanic was built, there was actually three ships built: the Lusitania, the Titanic, and the Olympia. The Olympia got into a accident with a military vessel, actually crashed into the military vessel, and did some damage, but they couldn't collect on the insurance for it. So it was so closely identical to the Titanic. What they did was they painted the Titanic as the Olympia and the Olympia as the Titanic, and with its weakened structure, it sailed in Titanic's place, and that was the ship that actually sank. And then they were able to collect the insurance payout and recoup their losses from the accident from before.
So are you saying they claimed it was Titanic? Because wasn't Titanic like a couple feet longer or something?
All they had to do was just change it. It's kind of like changing the serial numbers on a car. You know what I mean? They switched the paint jobs. It was that easy. They were that close. They were, 4 stacks on each one, the Olympia and the Titanic, and the paint jobs and everything. Supposedly, the one that's sitting at the bottom of the ocean is actually the Olympia.
Oh, wow. But wouldn't that... See, all right, because you've actually... Have you seen the videos like James Cameron did, where he went down there in the little bubble submarine?
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually got footage of floating in front of the actual writing on it that says Titanic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just the paint job.
Oh, so you're saying they changed the paint job before the thing left?
Yeah.
I thought what you were saying...
They passed the Olympia off as the Titanic, loaded it up. Now, here's the thing. The financial backers and things that was in on this with him, and on the, Morgan, J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan had the financing behind the Titanic and all that, and to cover it up. He was actually supposed to be on the Titanic and backed out just before it left. But he had the other financial backers on there that knew about the cover-up was on the boat. They didn't know it was going to go down. They didn't know that they weren't on the Titanic. They were on the Olympia. They thought they were boarding the Titanic to go over to the United States. Okay? So all of a sudden, the boat goes down in the middle of the ocean with all the people that knows about the conspiracy and ties up all loose ends. Now, the other person that was in on this was Milton Hershey from Hershey's Candy Bars, right? So Milton Hershey was another one that backed out and didn't go on the boat just before it left. In fact, he left 2 weeks early, claiming like undue work stress and everything else, and came back to the United States like 2 weeks before Titanic sailed. So him and J.P. Morgan were in on the cover-up together. They ended up killing off the other bankers and everything that was actually on the boat.
But I don't get what's the end game? Was the Titanic more expensive than the Olympia?
Well, the Titanic was just as expensive as the Olympia, but the Olympia got into an accident with a British military vehicle, and instead of them being able to collect insurance on the accident, they had to pay out to the Queen for damaging one of her ships. So they lost money. They weren't able to collect on the insurance. They ended up having to pay out. So they pass this off as a Titanic. It sinks, and then they collect the insurance money on it. Think about that. You're talking about two of the most wealthiest people in the world at the time. You still there, Lou? Uh-oh, I think they got him.
Yeah, sorry, I got somebody at my door real quick. Hold on a second.
So let's see who's in the chat tonight. Let's see. I see Eddie and Jen vlogs, Country Girl Hunt Spirits Rock Fam, Sherry V, Diary of Her Mind, Laura Gadelli, and I remembered how to say it because I remember you telling Cab 7 the right way to say it. Gadelli. Becky Taylor, Donna Rock. Who else we got out there? We got 30 people, 34 people in here. Guys, share this out. If you guys have any conspiracies you want to hear us talk about, let us know. Hot Melinda Paranormal. My beautiful wife. I was paid to say that. Benny Loco's in the house. Follow the money. That's right. Question everything. Follow the money. Greed is usually one of the main driving sources behind some of these conspiracy theories. For real.
But I'm trying to get to I'm trying to get to the end game here.
Well, the end game was all about money.
Got,
they lost money and they didn't want to lose money.
So then sink a different boat?
No, they sink the damaged boat that was already damaged. And they sunk the damaged boat, kept the real Titanic, left Olympia's name on Titanic.
Yes, good idea. I would do that. Yes.
You know what I mean? You
if
switch
I was
them.
JP Morgan.
It's kind of like if you go to Walmart and you buy a tent and one of the tent poles breaks, and then you take it back and say, this was broken, and they give you a new one. You know what I mean?
No, it's more like you already owned that tent for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then one of the poles breaks.
Oh, no, you own that tent for 2 years. You go to Walmart, buy a brand new one, okay?
And then replace it.
And then take back your old one and say, hey, this was already open. Somebody must have returned this or something, and I just want my money back. I'm going to go somewhere else. And they give you your money back. So then you got a free brand new tent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the scam.
The Titanic into a tent at Walmart.
Yeah. I mean, that's the scam, basically. I mean, they took this damaged ship, they swapped it out for one that was brand new, then claimed that the brand new one was the one that sank, when really the Olympia was the Titanic all along. It never sank.
I want to put out a question to the chat. I want to know if anybody in the chat I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the movie The Matrix. Now, in the movie The Matrix, when Neo is first brought into the office with Mr. Smith, they have a file folder and it has Neo's passport and some of his information in the folder. Does anybody in the chat know what the expiration date to Neo's passport was? And the movie came out in 1999. Does anybody know what the date on his passport is? The expiration date. I know Ghost knows because I told
do.
him.
That's why I'm not saying nothing. I'm gonna let the chat guess a couple times and all that before you tell it. Diary of Mine says, "Yep."
All right, what was it? Don't say yup.
Yeah, Diary of Mine says, "Yep."
Well, I mean that's a good answer because it's open and broad.
Laura Gadelli says, "Can you talk about Area 51?" I'm running out of things to say about Area 51. We've talked about it so much. I think the people that are going to go out there and storm Area 51 are a bunch of idiots that are going to go out there and get themselves killed. The military has already said, they've publicly stated, anyone that raids Area 51 on that date is going to be shot.
Brandy guessed it, 9/11/01.
9/11/01, yep.
For a movie like The Matrix,
that is unsettling.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the expiration date.
Yeah, you know what? You really like the disappointing date from a movie. I feel like I got shortchanged. When you think about Back to the Future, when they go to the future and it's October 15th, 2015. There was flying cars and shit. We're hoverboards. Where's all this stuff we were promised, man?
For years and years, my mom would ask me, what do I want for Christmas? And every year I would say, I want the hoverboard from Back to the Future. And she would have to tell me, well, there's no such thing as the hoverboard from Back to the Future. But I wasn't taking that as an answer. And so, yeah, I do feel gypped because I've always wanted that hoverboard. And where the hell is it?
Well, we
Where?
did get one thing from the movie that came to fruition in 2015. And that's the futuristic Nikes. Remember them? The shoes.
Well, no, those Nikes were the only reason that they are popular or expensive is because they were in the movie.
Yeah, they were in the movie. The
So,
self-lacing, you know.
yeah, those Nikes, I forget the name of them, but they've been sold, past $10,000 a pair.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's a conspiracy in itself.
Well, the $10,000 a pair was a charity auction, and that's why the prices went up so high. I mean, you can
Speaking
get a pair of
speaking of
them.
shoe conspiracies, have you seen the Betsy Ross Nikes that they pulled off the shelf because somebody said the flag with 13 stars on it was racist?
I seen
Oh my God.
a pair of homemade ones in a YouTube video.
Wow. I couldn't believe that. I was like, the 13 colonies didn't have anything to do with racism. It was the founding 13 colonies. It's what founded the United States. You know what I mean? What's that got to do with slavery? Yeah,
And
the founding
Betsy
fathers might have
wasn't
owned slaves, but that doesn't mean that what they were trying to do had
I
anything
got
to
a
do with
question.
slavery.
Wasn't Betsy Ross black? Or am I just totally gone on that one?
Well, you thought Thomas Jefferson was black too.
I think
George
Abraham Lincoln
Washington
is black.
and Abraham Lincoln, yeah. Like all our
Yeah.
forefathers are black.
I didn't think Thomas Jefferson was black. He just had a lot of black kids.
Betsy Ross was definitely white.
She was white.
Yeah, she was
Okay.
she was white as the driven snow by
Well,
the
she
looks of her
should have
picture.
been black.
Carol out of the comfort zone says Ghost Mafia. Wait a minute, let me see here.
Well, with a name like Ross,
Thousands of missing people in national parks. Have you ever watched Missing 411? That's crazy stuff and disturbing. Some of those national parks are huge, though.
humongous. Yes.
I mean, we're talking hundreds of miles. Wasn't Yellowstone is like 600 miles of park.
well, the park that the most people go missing from every year is that Smoky Mountains National Park.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's mountain lions and shit out there. You go
Yeah,
walking in the
actually,
woods.
the night we were out there, it was me, Patty, Breaking the Shell, Misguided Road Trips, and John from Exploration Unknown. And we broke off into two groups, and so me and Tim were together, and we're walking around with our lights, and some guy comes running up to us, and he's like, hey, are you guys park rangers? And we're like, no, we're not. And then he's like, man, I got this big old bear back at my campsite. And we're like, where's your campsite? And he points to the fire, and it's like not even that far away. He's like, right over there. There's a bear over there. And so for the rest of the night, I was like freaked out. And we slept there too. So yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, anytime you go traipsing around in the woods where there's definitely known wild animals that will tear you apart, yeah, somebody's going to come up missing sometime.
Elkmont. The name of that place is Elkmont. But yeah, and then that's another thing that's on the sign there is that the most people in the United States go missing from that park every year. And the way Tim explained it to me was it's the biggest park or one of the biggest parks around there and or around and so it covers so much area that's why the statistic is so high. But you're right. I mean, you get lost in the woods, there's nothing but more woods and then more woods
Yeah,
and more woods.
I mean, the deeper you get into the woods, the more you can get turned around and lose sense of direction. And if you aren't trained to be out there and trained to know your directions from, the way the sun is going and the way, moss grows on trees, and, you don't have a compass to know your direction and everything, man. Like literally, you can get pretty messed up out there in the woods because it's easy to get turned around backwards and think you're going one way and really be going another. Sean and Waterhouse House says, "How are you guys doing tonight?" I'm doing good. How you doing, Lou?
I'm doing.
You're
I am
doing.
doing. Hey, Shanna.
46 viewers in the house. We've got a nice crowd going in there. TSW Para Babies.
Laura Gadil says,
in the
I was
house.
wanting to know if Area 51 has aliens, not the raid. Well, I don't think we know if they have aliens.
Yeah,
but
I couldn't tell you for sure.
my educated guess is that Area 51 is no longer secret, and it hasn't been for a long time. So if I were the government and I had secret aliens that I didn't want anybody to find out about, I would have moved them to a different base by
Honestly, in my opinion, is if they did have aliens there, by this time they have been dissected over and over again to where they are nothing more than a few cells on a couple 100,000 little glass.
now. Oh, now you're going to
microscope.
get
You
me
know what I
started.
mean? Like,
Listen, all right. I found 100% proof of aliens today, guys.
no. You found 100% proof of lizard people,
Yes,
lizard
and the
hybrid
lizard
peoples.
people are aliens.
Look,
They are aliens.
and guys, when he told me about this whole lizard people conspiracy thing, I wasn't a believer. I thought it was just pure BS. And when I seen it for my
What do you
own
think
eyes,
now?
I mean, this was a living person
In a live stream.
on a live stream on YouTube, and literally their eyes, like, it was
Yeah,
it was
they
weird.
blinked
It was
this way.
creepy weird.
And
I
not
was
only
like,
that,
what
the person
hell?
lifts their glasses up to let you see it. And then you see their eyes blink this way.
It honestly, when I seen it, the first thing that went through my mind was that opening scene where Will Smith is chasing down that alien in Men in Black, and he's got him on the rooftop, and the dude says, "They're coming, and there's nothing you could do to stop it. We're all gonna die." And his eyelids blink like opposite way. Dude, it was
I'm gonna
creepy.
eventually, Zach will be banging my door down as soon as I release it. So I have to find some covert way of
It was it was
of sharing
creepy.
this evidence. But when I do, I'll let everybody know where to find it, and then everybody could be like, "You were right, Lou Rock. There's lizard people." 'Cause there is.
It looked like, okay, so you're watching Silence of the Lambs, and just before Hannibal Lecter eats that guy's face, his eyes turn different. That's what it looked like. The eyes turned different, and I was just waiting for him to go, come at the screen. I was like,
I'll tell you
wow.
what. And then another thing, if you study the reptilian theory, they do a lot of things. They do a lot of things to be there right in your face and kind of like mush in the fact that they're there and you don't know it. And
Guys, they're asking for links to see this in the chat. And guys,
I-
we can't put
guys-
that link out right now because it is somebody in the YouTube community that we never expected it to be.
yes,
And we
this
can't
is-
put that out there yet.
we're gonna figure out how to get it out there to you guys soon enough. But I promise you, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't promise anything unless I could put up the evidence. But I promise you, we got some evidence of this. Yeah, and another thing, and
Go-
this is what I was getting at. A lot of those lizard people, you'll see their teeth actually they shapeshift, and you'll see that their teeth will get sharp, and then they'll just look normal again.
Dr. Fish says, follow the 5 steps. The 5 steps.
The 5
The
steps.
5
Yes,
steps.
definitely. It all leads back to the 5 steps.
That's right.
To being all the way up on YouTube.
All the way
That is
up.
for sure.
All the way up.
Hey, Fish, would you?
I want that fish money. That's what I want. I want
Would
that
you?
fish money. You know he
I
would.
would. You know what? Dr. Fish is the guy to have on a conspiracy show.
You know
I've
what?
talked with him.
I don't have Dr. Fish in a hangout, but Dr. Fish, if you want to send me your email, man, I would love to have you up on the show with us, man. Talk some
Dr.
conspiracies.
Fish is a really smart dude when
He
it comes
is.
to this
He
kind of
is,
stuff.
and he's all the way up.
He is all the way up.
And man,
That is, you just can't fight
that-
the fact that he's all the way up.
that man knows everything there is to know about fish. I can attest to that.
Yes, he does. That's another, but he knows everything about these conspiracies and stuff too. Because, like, I've talked to him, and he will tell you why the reptilians is a real thing, or he'll just, and I'm just using that as an example, but I'm just saying I've had conversations with him, and he knows what he's talking about. He'll tell you about cube theory and Saturn worship and
No, wait, that's something we haven't talked about. Saturn worship. Donna Rock
Saturn
is
worship?
yeah, Saturn worship. Donna Rock
Saturn
says, "Have
worship
you heard about the
actually
Nazca lines?" There's a lot of theories
Saturn
about
worship
that.
actually falls right into the reptilian theory, kind of. Do you know that there is a what is it? I believe there's a shape on the back of on the back of Saturn. I forget what it is. I believe it's a hexagon. Let me see. Hexagon. Hexagon is the stop sign.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let me see.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of it. I don't know if it's a hexagon. But anyways, there's a shape. It's a geometrical shape on the back of Saturn. And if you were to take that shape and just draw a few lines in it, what it would be is a 3-dimensional cube. And so a lot of people think that Saturn, I've actually even heard teachers talk about how Saturn was the first primary to the universe, which right now our sun is our primary. So they're saying that the sun, Saturn at one point was the primary, but it's also the 6th planet, and a lot of it refers to 666, and it even ties into the Matrix.
Laura
And-
Gadilli says scientists are finding out that Earth has a mirror image of itself. Yeah, I think that was the thing that JoJo was talking about, the mirror dimension kind of thing, which goes into the multiverse theory, you know.
I'll tell you what, I think we're living in a simulation right now. This is the video game. And I think that we might even pay to do this. We might be like, oh man.
It's the
let's,
Truman Show
be
all
human.
over again.
What's that?
It's the Truman Show all over again.
I would say more like the Matrix, but I would say this is like a vacation of the mind. And that we come to live here as it's a simulation. It's like The Sims, video games
Sims,
for PC and also video game
Well,
system.
see, now if I'm thinking about The Sims, I'm never going to go swimming again, because if they take away the pool ladder, I'm going to die.
You know what? When I used to play The Sims, I was so evil. I used to make cubes. Like, I would make a cube cell and then trap the person inside the cell and just watch them go back and forth until they died.
Yeah, that's how you kill a Sim. You put them inside the swimming pool and take away the ladder,
Yep.
and then just put it on fast forward mode. Blub, blub, blub. They're dead. I was crazy on The Sims when it first came out. Like, when Sims 2 came out, you could get like the naked skins and make them walk around naked and like all kinds of stuff. There was all kinds of hacks and like shit you could bring into the game from outside. I was like hacking the game back then. It was crazy.
Yeah, I did the money hack, and then like you can pretty much download any object in the
Yeah.
world.
Yep.
Yeah, that game was fun. But look
Yeah.
at the way we play video games as humans. Like we spend lots of money and lots of time.
Brandy says, if this is a vacation, I want to go home.
Yeah, I
Nero
mean,
Triggers out there. Gina Bizarro. Oh, wow. Sounds like I came in on an interesting stream. Naked Sims, yes.
and then I actually will go even further into why I believe the spirit box, why they're able to talk to us, and that they're not actually spirits, they're actually outside of the simulation, and that's how they're able to talk to us.
Don't tell Nero that.
It's pretty crazy.
Bouncer Slab is taking off. He says, okay, left my regular life. Be well and take care, everyone.
There was actually a story that Patty from the G Team, it was actually Heather's Hauntings that told the story the other day. And she was in the middle of a spirit box session, and she started talking about a memory that she had of her brother, and her brother passed away. And it popped into her head, and you could tell it kind of like jarred her. And she's like, oh my gosh, I remember when my brother told me that he had died, that he had, I believe it was a dream, that no, he said that he had died and he had been there, and that when he was there, he was in outer space and he was talking to them through a TV and a little box. And now, in their life, that makes so much sense. And this was told to them years before they ever picked up a spirit box. And so, to me, that symbolizes I'm outside of it. I'm outside of it. And
Carol Ann, don't go into the light.
that's why I am such a that's why I never that's why I'm for flat earth. If you were to ask me why would I believe such a ridiculous theory, because I believe that we could be being lied to and we don't know anything about anything, like really.
Ghost, if you get
And
a chance,
think about it. Think about if the government found out that we are actually, this ain't even real, this is a simulation. People would go crazy. There'd be war in the streets. People would do whatever they felt like.
Let me ask
doing.
you, Lou. Do you believe in aliens?
Do I believe in aliens?
Yes. Do you believe in that extraterrestrial life can exist in another?
100%. I can show you proof.
And Donna Rock is bringing up the Nazca lines. Now, the Nazca lines, here's the thing with Nazca lines. You can't see them from the ground. They've actually found a new one that can be seen from the ocean, but most of the Nazca lines can only be seen from air. And there's spiders, there's monkeys, there's hummingbirds, there's all kinds of different animal creatures. In fact, there's like creatures that shouldn't even know how they shouldn't even known how to draw them because they wasn't on that continent.
Yep.
That's the crazy part, So like, how did they know how to draw this animal when they've never seen one? You know what I mean?
Now, hold on a second.
Now, there is theories that there's a lot of the Nazca lines are just straight lines that go across the desert, and they intersect at points, and they lead you to water sources.
All right, talk about animals that they shouldn't know exist. There is actually a dinosaur in the Nazca lines. A dinosaur.
Right?
So yeah, how did they even know that there's an animal that looks like this?
Well, I
I
mean, you know,
There's a
and
picture of it here. It kind of looks like a T-Rex to me. Wait, oh, up, down. I don't know if you can see it
yeah,
too
it does
well.
look like a T-Rex or some kind of bird or something. Like, could even be like a velociraptor.
That's what it looks like. I mean, the legs are underneath it. It's got a long tail. There's no wings.
Yeah, Donna Rock says there's even one that looks like a guy in a spacesuit.
Yes, there is. There is one that looks like a guy. And isn't he waving?
I'm not
I
sure.
believe it's. Let me see. Look up space man.
They say that the President Ronald Reagan now about the aliens.
Yeah, the spaceman has got one hand up and he's waving, and he's got this. It looks like a what you would have for a spacesuit
I
as a
mean,
helmet.
you know, when you're talking about the Nazca lines and things like that, there's a lot of different shows and stuff you can do your research on, and there's a lot of interesting shows where they talk about the Nazca lines. So, yeah, if you guys are into like the aliens and Nazca lines and things like that, you know, look them up. Look up those stories on YouTube and watch some of the documentaries and things like that. But there's a lot of theories behind it too. That some of like the animals represented different things and gods and this and that, and you know, water is represented by a certain picture, and there's lines. The straight lines that go through that picture lead you to water sources. Any of the lines that go through another picture lead you to something else. So there's a lot of theories behind it. (500 BC and 500 AD date of creations for Nazca lines). Yeah. I think Dr. Fish left us.
Dr. Fish. He's
Dr.
too busy
Fish.
being all the way up.
He is all the way up. Definitely is all the way up.
He's like, I'm too up for this, man. I'm all the way up.
I'm seeing
I'm
a
not
lot of people
halfway.
I've
These
seen
guys
over
are
in
only
Cab 7
halfway
stream.
up.
I think we got raided by Cab 7, man. That's what
Oh,
I'm thinking.
man.
I'm seeing Peggy. I'm seeing, you know, a lot of people that was over there in Cab 7 stream. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but I think maybe we got raided.
Cool.
That is cool. Scaredy Cat, yes, I watched videos about that. Sharpshooter Brother. Virginia Woolf is in here. Mittens. The zone of silence is amazing. Spirit communications through the spirit box would be undoubted proof in that location. Okay, the zone of silence. Where is the... I've heard of it, but I don't know that much about it.
Are we talking about the area where no planes are allowed to fly? None of our electronics work there. It's kind of like a no zone. Let me look it up. I think that's what we're talking about. There's a whole area that we just can't fly. Oh, I just typed it into the chat instead of searching for it.
So I see. You didn't have to retract it.
Let me see here.
And Peggy says, I want to show some love before I go to bed. Playmaster's in here. They're saying hi. James Leinenweber, I think is how you pronounce it. Says, hey, Ghost. Hey, Lou.
Oh no, this isn't what I was talking about. All right, so it says the Mapimi Silent Zone, Spanish La Zona del Silencio, is the popular name for a desert patch near Bolson de Mapimi in Durango, Mexico. overlapping the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve. It is the subject of urban myth that claims it is an area where radio signals of any type communications cannot be received. Yes, I am. You know what? Thank you
Where's this
very
at? We
much.
want to go there. We want to go there and do a
I
spirit
am
box session.
going to go there. This, you are right. That is a very interesting place to go and do a spirit box session. Yes, I agree 100%. That would be cool.
There's a topic we've never talked about on here yet. The Bermuda Triangle. I mean, what can you say about the Bermuda Triangle that hasn't been said a million times? So, I mean, we know Flight 19, group of military aircraft disappeared without a trace. In fact, the crazy part of that is that the squadron of 9 different planes went down all together somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle. They go out in it's a C-130 like transport, searching for the wreckage on the water. It gets out there and something goes wrong and it explodes and it crashes into the ocean. Was it aliens? I don't know. Could it be? Could it be? Believe it or not, but the old show Unsolved Mysteries has a lot of conspiracy theories they show on there. Actually, and this is a true story of a guy that he was kind of an old guy. He lived with us for a little while. His name was Mike Cahill, and he actually did a song for the movie The Titanic, but was beat out by that chick from Canada. Was her Celine Dion? So he actually did a song for the movie Titanic about the sinking of the Titanic, and this person, and I knew his background. He was from Liverpool, England. He had been in the Merchant Marines. He was a musician, played guitar. He had played with several different like 70s era rock bands, like famous rock bands. Now, you know, I'd sit and listen to his stories about playing with these bands and being on the road and, you know, all this stuff. And, you know, I didn't think anything of it. And one day I was actually watching an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and they tell how this musician from the 70s, whose name was Mike Cahill, who had, you know, played with all these different bands like The Who and, you know, back in the day, had been murdered. Come to find out, now I didn't find out the truth until after he actually passed away. We actually buried Mike. When he passed away, we found out that the episode of Unsolved Mysteries that his story was on was somewhat true, but somewhat false at the same time. They had reported that somebody had broken into his house and stole one of his guitars that was autographed by, you know, members of The Who that he had in this house. And he was home at the time. And he chased the guy down, and the guy turned and shot him. Now, what actually happened was that he lived. He didn't die, but he testified against the guy, and the guy was actually part of a mob syndicate in that area. And Mike Cahill feared for his life so much that he joined a witness protection program. And that's the actual story behind it. That like it was amazing to me that I knew somebody that was actually in the witness protection program and had been in the witness protection program for years and years and years, until, you know, he was in his like late 70s, early 80s when he lived with us. And he could still shred on a guitar even at that age, which was crazy because I seen this man. I mean, he had the English accent and everything. it was he had that rocker, that early 70s rocker look to him. He had the sound. He talked like Ozzy, for Christ's sake. Like, it was really crazy to know somebody like that. And yeah, I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him. But yeah, it was strange to hear the actual story come out after he passed as to what actually happened. Because he didn't even talk to his family for years after being in that witness protection program. He was so scared of the syndicate. Did Michael Jackson fake his death? Lou, did Michael Jackson fake his death?
According to Dick Gregory, which was a very close friend of Michael Jackson, they killed Michael Jackson. That was something he spoke about. I think it's a possibility. There has been a few mysterious figures that look like Michael Jackson in a disguise that have popped up. I mean, on the Larry King show, at his own funeral, there was this mysterious character that looked just like him in a blonde wig. There's also a doctor that Michael Jackson actually, for a music video, they did all his prosthetics and stuff to make him look like a white man. And there's actually a doctor that face was modeled after, and some people actually think that Michael Jackson is living as multiple different people in disguise. One of them is that Dave guy, burn victim that Michael Jackson befriended when he heard the little kid's story. And that conspiracy theory goes that the real Dave died and that Michael Jackson took over his persona. And I've actually seen tapes that show the way that Michael Jackson speaks, and then they compare it to an interview on Larry King of Dave. And I'll tell you what, I've seen videos of the real Dave, and his voice doesn't sound like it sounded on the Larry King show.
You know, and here's the thing with that. Like, okay, so Michael Jackson's family owns the rights to his image and everything else. So, like, literally, if I was to take a picture of Michael Jackson and actually put it into OBS, I can get a copyright strike just off of his image, not having permission to use it.
That's not even the big conspiracy about the whole deal. The biggest conspiracy about it, and this is what Dick Gregory got into, and Dick Gregory is a really smart comedian from way back when, and he's a rights activist. And I mean, if you listen to this guy, he really spits out some amazing knowledge. And according to Dick Gregory, from the interview that I watched, Michael Jackson had said publicly that he'd never sell his Beatles catalog. He'd never sell it. And he'd actually had been...
you know, there was a lot of controversy around that, too, because, like, you know, not all the Beatles were dead at the time. I think there's only one alive now, but... you know,
and he owned a lot of other rights to a lot of other like musicians as well.
Paul McCartney was pissed because he didn't even own the rights to the songs that he wrote. Michael Jackson owned them.
There's actually video of Michael Jackson like downing I believe his name was Tommy Mottola, I believe it's Tommy Mottola. And he said, "I will never sell." He was quoted talking bad about Sony and all this stuff, and just mysteriously, the night he died, a deal was stricken between Michael Jackson and Sony Records for all of those musicians' music.
And that's the thing with the music industry. I mean, now Sony, you're talking about a big record company, they're into everything. You can get Sony Vaio computers, you can get laptops, you can get CD players, you can get, Sony's, making movies now. They're into everything. They are huge, but they were doing back then the same thing that Suge was doing with, Vanilla Ice back in the day. Shake him down for $4 million, and you're like, look, you're gonna pay us $4 million to be in the rap game, or I'm gonna kill you, and that's straight up. And that's Sony's like the Suge Knight of like seriously.
You know what, Donna Rock says, I think he faked it to get out of trouble with police and all the lawsuits he was facing. Even that being so, if he was going to fake his death for that, he wouldn't sell. He literally said, I'm not selling. I'm not going to do it. If you want to be referred to somebody who was actually friends with him, look up Dick Gregory and then Michael Jackson right after the name Dick Gregory. He does a few videos. They are amazing. And, Michael Jackson called him the night before he died and told him that they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. They're trying to kill me.
Becky says there's two Beatles still alive. I think that's Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are still alive. I know Lennon's dead.
Both theories that either he was killed or he faked his death, and I think they killed him. I think they took him out.
I was watching I was watching some conspiracy theories earlier, and one of the most outlandish ones that I heard was that Stephen King was behind the murder of John Lennon because he could be the twin brother of Mark David Chapman.
That's why
that was like the craziest conspiracy one that I had seen yet.
That's why conspiracies are considered extreme content.
Well, no, okay, so here was the conspiracy behind it. Okay, Stephen King liked Lennon until he got with Yoko Ono. And then he despised the guy, like really hated him, right? So he basically had him off and set up Mark David Chapman to take the fall for Stephen King because Stephen King had the money, That was the theory. And I was like, man, like, I don't know. I was like, they do look alike, though. They do look alike. If you look up Mark David Chapman and Stephen King, they do look alike.
Yeah, Laura says I think he faked his death. I mean, there's evidence in both. I think the most mysterious thing is him selling his catalog when he swore no way. For one, even if he faked his death, there's no reason for him to sell. He's got so much money, he could live the rest of his life faking. He could be disguised as people for the rest of his life, live a lavish lifestyle, and never have to worry about money. He wouldn't have had to sell those catalogs. My biggest opinion is that he was taken out and those deals were struck without his permission. But all kinds of crazy stuff happens.
Well, there was so much weird stuff that was going on when he was alive. I mean, the relationship between him and Priscilla Presley, and then there was the
lady that mothered his babies.
Yeah, the surrogate mother to his children.
Yeah.
What's the guy? He's in everything. He's in all these movies and stuff. He was in Face Off with John Travolta. And,
Nicolas Cage?
Yes, Nicolas Cage. There's a Nicolas Cage connection to the Michael Jackson thing because Nicolas Cage was so infatuated with Elvis Presley that he was trying to date Priscilla. Did you know that? So there was this like love triangle thing going on between Nicolas Cage, Michael Jackson, Priscilla Presley.
Well, Nicolas Cage was an Elvis freak. He is an Elvis freak.
He is literally an Elvis freak. Elvis and Superman.
Yeah, so I could definitely believe that he would try to go after Elvis's daughter for sure. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't know. That's a sticky one. You can go watch the interview with him on Larry King. Well, the interview with Dave on Larry King, and you could actually find videos that have compared the voice of that version of Dave, and I say that version because some people think that he was Michael Jackson dressed up as a burn victim. But if you listen to the voice patterns, they sound like Michael Jackson. And then you could go back further and watch videos of the real Dave and see that his voice actually didn't really sound as effeminate as it did in
That's
that.
ignorant. That's ignorant.
That's Mike Tyson. It's totally ludicrous and preposterous.
That's ignorant.
felonious,
That's just
and
that's
you're
just
totally
ignorant.
fallacious. And Lou Rock, if I ever see you, you are a dead man. You couldn't last 1 second in my world, punk.
Now go and get you a drink.
Now go get your fucking shine box.
But yeah, the Michael Jackson stuff. I mean, even without the love triangle, without the surrogate mother stuff, without him hanging his kid off the balcony by his leg,
Oh, gosh.
you know, the crazy shit that he did.
Yeah, let me
Buying the
dangle a
elephant
baby
man's
over the
bones.
edge of this thing. Oh, oops! I almost dropped the baby.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
buying the
nuts.
elephant man's bones. You know, what
That
did he?
isn't so crazy. If you ever seen Michael Jackson go shopping, he would just go, "I'll take 15 of those. You can put that whole area in my truck, and I'll take all this stuff, and it's all getting delivered, right?" He did an interview with Diane Sawyer, where she goes around shopping with him, and he buys literally. I think he spent like $45 million.
Well, what about the crazy relationship that he had with Elizabeth Taylor?
Yep.
She actually married one of her husbands at Neverland Ranch. That was like his surrogate mother kind of thing. He treated her like that was his mom, which is just insane. Elizabeth Taylor was like a very, very private individual. How he even got to know Liz Taylor is beyond me, because I would have
Michael
figured
Jackson,
that.
dude.
I mean, you know, it's Liz Taylor. She's had how many husbands? Like,
Still, it's Michael Jackson, bro. Michael Jackson, like, dude, even though, like, he wasn't the biggest thing when he died, all he had to do was make a record. That's all he had to do. And it would be number one. Like, he didn't even have to try. And then in the 80s and the 90s, unbeatable. He was the man. And I could see how he met her.
I mean, I was there through the craze. I was there. I can remember getting stupid shit at Christmas time, like the Michael Jackson, figure.
I remember the leather
sequins
suits,
gloves
like
and the
Eddie
leather
Murphy wore.
jackets and all that stuff. You had Michael
Yeah.
Jackson. I remember when they aired Thriller on MTV the first time. The whole it was like an hour long or something like that, like 45 minutes long, and it was like watching a movie. And you had Vincent. That was the coolest thing for me back then. Was Vincent Price was in the song. Vincent Price did the voice in the song. And, I was a big gore person. I had subscriptions to Fangoria magazine. I was into horror movies big time. And Vincent Price was like a horror god back then, him and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and a few others. But yeah, that was like one of the coolest things ever when Vincent Price came out on that track with Michael Jackson. That was the shit. And then a few years later, all the controversy starts up. And the kids and, all that stuff. And everybody kind of shied away from him for. Then there was the time he set his hair on fire for the Pepsi commercial. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, he did a Pepsi commercial, and the fireworks exploded, and he had so much stuff in his hair to make the curls and everything shine and all that. His hair caught on fire.
They said that he was really badly scarred from that. Actually, that goes more into the conspiracy theory about the Dave character, because they said that Michael Jackson hid a lot of very bad scars from that.
Yeah, it was.
If you think about it, it was his head that caught on fire, so all he would have to do to cover it up is wear his hats that he wore, his whatever.
We get the
if he was
chat is
wearing a wig.
rolling so fast I can't. I have to say Prince was much better than Michael Jackson. Yeah, I was a big Prince fan too, and Prince hung on. Prince never really went away like Michael Jackson did. Like, he was big and then he was down and then he was up
As
and
a
then down. But
musician
Prince
or
was just like
songwriter, I would
both.
say Prince was a better songwriter, but as a entertainer, there was nobody like Mike, man. Nobody got Mike. Mike would do a
Carlos.
concert and people would die.
Carlos says he also had a pet monkey named Bubbles. Kind of looked like Lou a little bit.
Yeah.
Adiki, I hope you had a safe trip home. And I know you drove all the way through. I can't believe you probably just got out of bed, because I know she just got home at like 8 o'clock this morning. She drove from over here all the way back to Denver. Crazy stuff. I don't think I could have drove straight through. No way. Not after the experiences that we had in that penitentiary over there the other night. And as hot as it was and draining as it was, I couldn't have done it. Oh, MJ's pet monkey was Bubbles. His monkey looked like Lou. That's what Carlos says. I don't think Lou found that as funny, but Prince was a
I
good
just don't like
singer.
Carlos at all.
I love Prince 10 times over. See, I like Prince because he had the controversial songs like Pussy Control and Darling Nikki, and that was the shit that they wouldn't play on the radio, right? So
I think Carlos is just mad at the world because he can't be a real YouTuber. He has to be a troll.
There might be a conspiracy in that.
No, there's no conspiracy.
Nero Trigger says, the drive was easy for me. Yeah, you're only like 4.5 hours away, Nero. And you rolled out like Nero. Okay, so Nero rolled out of the Sugar Shack. And then he rolled out of the pen. And then when we dropped him off of his car, he rolled out of the state. He's like, nope, get me out of here.
But you know what? Prince wrote some amazing songs. I love the song he gave to Sinead O'Connor as a gift.
Which one was that?
Nothing compares.
Oh, Nothing Compares to You?
That was a gift. He said, you have to sing this song. It's for you, and gave it to her. And turned out to be amazing. A very smart man. That's another conspiracy. They say that he had some information that he was going to be coming out with.
Yeah, I would have loved to seen him live on a little bit and hear about that information, because I know he was big in Vegas at the time just before he died. He was doing shows in Vegas and things like that. And he was out there in that desert region where they test all that kind of shit, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering if he didn't know somebody or somebody knew him and he's seen things, and you know what I'm saying? I think he had some close ties there somewhere and to the inside. And yeah. Megan's vlog is in here. What's going on, Megan? An error trigger. We done 19 hours straight, but I couldn't have driven after the prison night. Yeah, it was crazy. And we're going to talk about that on Thursday on the EVP show. We're going to get Aniki and Nero up on the show with us and talk about our experiences at the prison. So be watching for that, guys. Elizabeth Taylor liked Michael Jackson ever since Michael was a kid. They became friends when he was a teenager and had been close friends since.
Yeah, that's true. That's the whole thing. She met him when he was little.
Yeah.
But even when he was a kid, he was the man.
Well, I remember him and you would have thought back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, like when he did The Wiz with Diana Ross, that him and Diana Ross would have had a thing going on. Now, they may have had a thing going on, but I was watching a documentary on the Playboy Mansion, and they offered up a little tidbit of information about Michael Jackson. His first teenage date was in the grotto, in the pool, with Brooke Shields.
Playboy Mansion.
At the Playboy Mansion with Brooke Shields.
What a first date.
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
First date. Now that's someplace you want to go date, right? The grotto in the Playboy Mansion pool with Brooke Shields. That's one hell of a first date. He was, I guess, they said he was a frequent visitor to the Playboy Mansion, and when he was there, he wouldn't interact with the people that was there. He would literally go into the private screening room and watch cartoons, and they would fix him food, bring him food and thing. He wouldn't go and interact with the girls or anybody. Like when there was parties going on, he would just lock himself into a room by himself and go and watch cartoons on this big projection screen TV that was in there. They'd have the chefs fix him food and bring it to him, anything he wanted. You know, he was a frequent customer.
Yeah, Michael Jackson was definitely a character.
Oh, easily distracted. Check out Over the Garden Wall. Great cartoon for family. Very controversial.
You got to check out this cartoon called...
I think I've actually seen that once. There was that one, and it was another one called Watership Down back in the day.
Best children's cartoon out there, made by human beings, is Boulder Buddies by far.
Boulder Buddies by Green Bay Wacky, yes. If you guys don't have your Boulder Buddies DVD and plush toys, get over to Green Bay Wacky's channel and check out Boulder Buddies.
I'm actually not even joking about that. Like, Janelli, she's 2 years old. She is very selective about things that she watches. She likes Frozen, she likes Toy Story, and she likes Boulder Buddies. And I wasn't sure she was going to like the Boulder Buddies. But once she started watching it,
she couldn't take her eyes off of it.
and
OG's the same way.
And learning colors. That's how she actually started learning her first colors. She would say, that's the blue one, that's the red one. And I remember talking to Green Bay about the way that kids perceive things differently. And I could see how that ties into that cartoon very well. And it's very educational. I mean, she started speaking really clear after watching it. It's better than watching something that they're not going to learn nothing from, which there's a lot of stuff like that out there.
Mile High Savage says, Michael Jackson and I have the same birthday. Woo woo. Deborah the Fam's in here says, hey babe, how are you? DF Networking says, Ghost Mafia, I'm having toe surgery on Thursday.
Well,
Now they
prayer-
aren't like removing. Okay. Now here's why I'm asking this question. I had a friend of mine in Hawaii that didn't know he was diabetic, and it got so bad that they actually had to take him in and they removed one of his toes. I don't know what that has to do with diabetics or anything like that. I'm not
It happens
diabetic.
all the time to
But-
diabetics.
And now he changed his CB handle to 9 toes, and you know I feel like I'm picking on him when I call him that, but he wants us to call him that. But I'm hoping that that's not the case, that it's just like a ingrown toenail or something like that, you know. But yeah, what
For
why?
diabetes, there's like circulation problems, and you end up losing. You can lose your whole leg, actually.
Easily distracted says Over the Garden Wall is about purgatory.
Nice. That's what I want to watch with my kids. But you know what? There's a lot of hidden stuff in a bunch of cartoons that.
I think that people notice a lot more of the hidden stuff nowadays. But if you go back to the cartoons of the 70s, there was a lot of stuff that didn't go noticed. And there's a lot of cartoons that have been banned, like Uncle Remus and Heckle and Jekyll, and Walt Disney will never show those like cartoons ever again, ever, because of how controversial and how racist they were. And I mean, everybody, it's no secret that one of the biggest racists on the planet was Walt Disney. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, but yeah. Yeah, you remember, was it Uncle Remus and the Tar Baby and the Brer
No,
Rabbit?
I'm not that old. Ghost Mafia. Sorry.
You don't remember that?
No.
Don't throw me in the
Not at all.
briar patch. Oh, please, don't throw me in the briar patch. Yeah.
No, the oldest cartoons I remember is, well, everybody remembers Mickey and Tom and Jerry, and then I used to like the what is that? Wile E. Coyote and
Yeah.
the Speed, or what was it? The Roadrunner.
Roadrunner, yeah.
That was a
Megan-
violent cartoon.
Megan says, Lou, did you get married? You have your wedding ring on.
Yes, but no. What hand are you supposed to put your wedding ring on?
Left hand.
It's on my right hand. But
Mudcon
no.
says,
Without a
dot.
divorce.
What's going on, Mudcon? Where you been, brother? Ain't seen you around in a few days.
Mudcon's like, listen, I got a razor. I'm out living life like it should be lived. Okay?
Look, if I had a razor here, I can't lie. I wouldn't be on YouTube as much.
YouTube? What's YouTube? Get out of here.
Yeah, I'd be running the shit out of that thing.
I'll be out looking for my next $10 in gas.
I'd be hooking up a brush hog behind it and mowing the grass. Dory M says in a couple more days I'll be 21. Or no, was that? No. Wait. Where'd it go? I lost it. I seen it a second ago.
Yogi
Yeah, a
Bear.
couple more hours and I'll be 21. Yay. Okay.
There's actually a Mandela effect that people remember Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires with suspenders.
Yeah, he had suspenders.
No, he didn't.
No?
Nope. According
Oh,
to,
no. Smokey Bear, you're right. Smokey the Bear did not have suspenders. That was Woodsy Owl.
No way, dude. I remember Smokey the Bear having the damn suspenders, dude. People that dress up as Smokey the Bear, they have the suspenders. I remember the suspenders. I don't care. I'm going with there should be suspenders.
I think
but
he didn't have suspenders. It was the owl, Woodsy Owl. Give a hoot, don't pollute. He had the suspenders. Remember him?
I'm gonna still say Smokey the Bear for me had suspenders. but I don't even know the owl you're talking about.
You don't
Who is
remember
this owl you
Woodsy
speak of?
Owl? You don't remember Woodsy Owl? Give a
No.
hoot, don't pollute. You don't remember that?
Vaguely. Very vaguely.
Anybody else out in the chat remember Woodsy Owl?
I'm telling you, go not as old as you are.
Oh, I know
My
you're not as
early
old as I am,
60s.
but I'm not in my 60s. That's just a conspiracy. Don't get those rumors started. I may feel like I'm in my 60s, but Mystic Angel Christina says, heading out, sending love and blessings to you all. Known by PJ. Yes, I do.
Laura says he had suspenders.
Animated Adventure says, think he had bibs.
Who's
Woodsy
the
Owl
hoot
and
one?
Cookie
Which
the Clown. Now, I don't remember Cookie the Clown.
I just
Rock,
remember.
Donna Rock says,
having
Smokey the
suspenders.
Bear did not have them.
No,
That's what she says.
I don't know.
Yeah, Yogi wore a tie. Boo Boo wore a bow tie, and Yogi wore a regular tie.
What about the Monopoly guy?
The monocle? Yeah, I still say he had a monocle.
He had a freaking monocle. It was based on J.P. Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
The dude had a monocle. Actually,
And again,
I actually
J.P. Morgan
remember-
in the conspiracy with the Titanic not sinking. There you go.
you know what I remember? I remember one of those little cards having him spinning his. I need to look that up because I think he spun a monocle in one of those cards, and that might be where we remember it from.
Mm-hmm. Honey, you have a Monopoly game here anywhere?
Oh, it's not on there.
Oh, she's got one of the old ones. Old ones. Shauna says, I remember the owl ghost, and Lou, I'm only 2 years older than you.
Well, apparently
Huh?
I smoked way more weed.
Oh, no, I was going to say, on the cards, you like, go straight to jail, do not collect, pass go, do not collect the $200, where the little Monopoly guy's on her, the get out of jail free card. He's holding the monocle in his hand or something there, the get out of jail free card. He's got a monocle on. I'm telling you, he's got a monocle.
He had a monocle,
The Tootsie Pop Owl, is that
and they're
what
saying
you
he
were
didn't.
talking
And they're
about?
saying that we're confusing him with Mr. Peanut, which no way. And then they actually show this person who is very famous for being at a Senate meeting dressed as the Monopoly guy. And what does the person have?
A
A
monocle.
monocle.
Right.
So-
No, the Tootsie Pop Owl was not the one we were talking about. We were talking about the, it would have been like a state park type thing, like Smokey the Bear. They also had, for the state parks, they had Woodsy the Owl, who was against pollution, you know, and littering and things like that. So he was like a spokesperson for, you know, give a hoot, don't pollute, was his tagline. I am 67, remember more. PJ. Good old Saturday mornings, I miss those. Yeah, whatever happened, like, okay, there's your conspiracy. Where did that go? That's the Mandela effect right there. You remember when we was kids and we didn't have cable television? You had the television that you had to tune in, and you might have got 3 or 4 channels if you lived in the city. And every Saturday morning was cartoon. You got up, you got your bowl of cereal, and plopped down in front of the television. You sat too close, they'd say, "Yeah, you're gonna go blind if you sit that close. Back away from the TV." You know, take you back to when you was kids. Saturday morning, the Wonderful World of Hanna-Barbera. You had like the Flintstones and the Jetsons, and you know all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Jabberjaws, and you know Snagglepuss and all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons were on for a while. And then like Saturday night was the Wonderful World of Disney, where you would either get a cartoon movie or a Disney movie, which was like, and there was movies that sucked from Disney to watch. You wait all freaking day by the TV to watch the Wonderful World of Disney come on that night, and then they show the Unidentifying Flying Oddball, which was just stupid, you know, like shit like that.
I'm reading a newspaper that actually describes the Monopoly guy, and it says players wore the tuxedo tuxedo tails of Mr. Monopoly, the game's trademark figure. It's very tiny, so an actual Mr. Monopoly with the brushy white mustache and monocle looked on. I'm telling you, seen him without a monocle looks wrong to me. And
Right.
I actually played a game of Monopoly that lasted 2 years. I played a 2-player game of Monopoly with my cousin, and it lasted 2 years. Because if you only have 2 players, it can go on forever and ever. Forever and ever and ever.
Herculoids ruled. Yes, I liked Herculoids. I also liked watching Johnny Quest.
I was a Masters of the Universe kind of guy. G.I. Joe.
I remember G.I. Joe. That was like, you know, just before high school, you had Transformers and G.I. Joe. And that was like, if you wasn't watching those cartoons and talking about them in school, you was liable to get your ass kicked. Like, literally. You'd come to school and you'd show off, you'd bring your Transformers to school or your G.I. Joe figures and stuff like that. I used to watch Dukes of Hazzard and the A-Team. Yeah, well, you won't be able to watch Dukes of Hazzard now unless it's the movie because they banned it from television, which is ridiculous. How are you going to ban?
Gosh, I'm in the Illuminati.
How are you going to ban Dukes of Hazzard from television and still show old reruns of the Archie Bunker Show? I would think that the Archie Bunker Show was much more racist than the Dukes of Hazzard. The only reason that Dukes of Hazzard was taken off the airwaves was because of the rebel flag on top of the car. Never once were they ever racist on the show. The characters in the show were never racist. In fact, they went out of their way to be so non-racist that they'd bring in colored characters and have them. You know, they even made one of the lawmen, the one guy from Chickasaw County or whatever. He was like this huge black guy.
I just found a picture of myself, Lou Rock, putting up the Illuminati symbol to my eye in one of my videos.
Oh, wow. All right.
That is 100% proof right there. The 666 Illuminati symbol. Yes, Lou Rock has sold out to the Dog Hand Masters.
Gummy Bears, Mama's Family. See, they're all talking about the old shows now. Monty
I'm not that
Python,
old.
Benny Hill.
You know what, though? I remember black and white TVs.
Great Babe.
That sucked. Remember when color TV came out, and if you had a black and white TV, you were like still in black and white?
I can remember my first television. Like, my parents, the big TV downstairs was color TV, but if you had a TV in your room, you picked it up at like a yard sale for $1 or something, and it would be like a little 12-inch black and white TV, and you were cool because you had a TV in your bedroom, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
The nice thing about the black and white TVs, though, they picked up better than the color TVs. They had better reception on them. You could pick up more channels. That was the only good thing about having a black and white television.
I remember the first remote was a broomstick, and you tap the channel down the broomstick.
That was your remote?
That was my remote.
Oh, man. Laugh-In. Ah, there was a show for you. Did you know Laugh-In, the disco girl from Laugh-In? What was her name? Oh, she was in Bird on a Wire. She was in Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn was a Laugh-In disco dancer girl on Laugh-In.
That's older than my time.
Oh, that was 70s. That was,
Yeah.
like 78, somewhere in there.
I wasn't around till the 80s. Alf, look what kind of show was Alf? They were
Alf was
trying
crazy.
to prepare us. Think about the shows from back then. They were really trying to prepare us for alien visitors. Mork and Mindy, Alf.
Mork and Mindy came out in 1979, about the same time as Star Wars. So you had a whole lot of space-oriented shows, and this was just after Apollo 11 and all that. So you had a lot of space exploration shows. You had the new Buck Rogers with Aaron Gray came out right about that time. You
2001 Space
2000
Odyssey.
Yeah, there was a lot of shows that revolved around space in the late 70s to early 80s, and I think that had a lot to do with all the hype from the Apollo 11 moon landing stuff that went on.
Both Laura and Story of Dory said, I was the remote for my grandpa, and then Dory says I was my parents' first remote control. Get up and change that. Fix the antenna.
Mile High Savage 303 says that's the John Cena symbol. Hustle, loyalty, respect,
See, I'm so out of the loop. I remember when, what was his name? Owen Hart? The one that
when
fell?
he fell, yeah. Yeah, I was
I
watching
remember
that day.
when that happened.
Yep.
That was crazy.
I was watching the WrestleMania when that happened.
Yeah, I was watching it too.
I never miss a WrestleMania. I haven't watched wrestling in a while, but I always watch WrestleMania.
I
It
got
falls
to
like
see,
right around my birthday.
I got to see in person. I got to see Hulk Hogan slam the Andre the Giant. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
You were in Detroit when that happened?
No, it was a smaller show here in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. I was
Yep.
going to say, I was actually at the Pontiac Silverdome when that happened the first time. I was at the WrestleMania. It wasn't even WrestleMania 1. I think it was WrestleMania 3. Because they hyped it up for 2 years before it actually went down. And it was at the Pontiac Silverdome, which has long since been destroyed. They actually imploded the place. Actually, they had to do it twice because the first time they had built it so strong that the dynamite didn't cut through the steel girders to drop the place, and they had to go back in and reset new charges. But
Actually, Axl Rose, I believe it was Axl Rose, got hit in the head with a bottle here in Massachusetts, and he got pissed off and didn't want to do the rest of the concert because they smacked him in the head with a bottle.
Damn. Ghost Mafia, wasn't it Bret Hart? No, it was Owen Hart. Owen Hart's dead.
Yeah, Owen Hart.
Bret Hart
Yeah.
is still alive.
Roseanne actually has a YouTube channel.
Really?
Yeah. She
I
has a
never really-
YouTube channel right now.
I never really got into the whole Roseanne thing. I mean, we used to watch the show because again, back then you didn't have cable or you couldn't afford cable at that time. And Roseanne was on when you got home from school. And they would show 5 episodes back to back.
I loved that show.
So it
When
was
it
the
came
only
back,
thing
I was
on.
so hyped about it being back. And then for it to just go down the toilet was so horrible and sad. Especially if you grew up on it.
Shawn Michaels was my number 1. Then The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and a few more. Megan's
I
Blog.
met The Undertaker
And I met the Undertaker as not the Undertaker, as himself.
You know how he started out? He actually used to drive one of the semi trucks for the production for the place. And they started telling me, dude, you're big enough to be a wrestler. Why don't you just look? I'll train you. And sure enough, he's like one of the biggest wrestlers ever in the WWE.
I actually used to work at a gym. It was Central City Gym at the X in Springfield, and it was known to be the biggest muscle gym around. And we actually had the strongest bench press in the world. His name is Glenn Shabbat, and he's a native to Springfield. And he benched 750 something pounds at the Arnold Classic at, I think he weighed 275 at the time.
Oh,
And-
there's a name I haven't seen in a long time. Super Dave. Remember Super
Oh
Dave
my gosh,
Osborne?
yeah, I remember that.
That dude was crazy.
But all the wrestlers used to come into that gym every time they were in town. They would come into that gym, and it was just crazy to meet them as themselves. Like that guy, I forget his, the guy with the toothpick, with the really,
Razor Ramon.
yeah, Razor Ramon. He spoke nothing like that. The Undertaker was cool. Met a bunch of other ones too.
I usually at the Sternwheel Festival every year. I have a friend of mine. You probably know him as Virgil, Ted DiBiase's bodyguard. I've actually got pictures hanging out with him on my Facebook.
You know who was really creepy in real life? And he was pretty much as creepy in real life as he was in the WWE. The Undertaker's manager, Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer, yeah.
That
he
guy
was-
was weird.
He was a weirdo. Oh my God, oh my God. It's so hot. Oh my God, oh my God. Get in the pool, JoJo. Yeah, Razor
And what
Ramon.
about them making them change their name after so many years of being the WWF? Just, we're going to come out of nowhere, the World Wildlife Foundation, and say, you know, you took our symbol. That's crazy. And then for them to have to change to the WWE,
Right?
you remember that?
Well, that's a controversy in itself because there was a lot to do. Okay, if you're talking about WWE, you can't go into WWE without the Montreal screw job with Bret Hart, where he was in his hometown, he's supposed to wrestle, he's supposed to win, and they cut him out. They cut him out and made him lose that match. And he literally, at the end of the match, goes over the rings and he's like, WCW, and he leaves WWE. And him and, what's his name? The owner. Christ.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, yes. Him and Vince McMahon didn't talk again for 20 years. 20 years. He goes over to WWE. He's over there with, people like Ric Flair and, a bunch of them left after that, actually. Hogan went to WCW, Sting, and, a bunch of them. Lex Luger, and, but it was crazy. Like, that's what sprung. I want to say the Montreal Screwjob started the whole Monday Night Wars with the WWE. I mean, I could do a whole show on just WWE because I've watched so much of it over the years. But that there was definitely a lot of controversy, and you have to admit that the WWE wouldn't be half as popular as what it is right now without Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan went outside of the box with the WWE and started starring in movies, like he was in
Bard.
Well, before that, he was in Rocky.
Yep.
That's what started all, was Rocky. And he starts bringing celebrities into the WWE and putting WWE celebrities in the movies.
Lester comes in.
Yeah, and literally, that's what made wrestling as popular as what it is today. because it went mainstream when when Hogan thought out of the box. He literally helped build the WWE. And then
when they called him Zeus, when Tiny Zeus Lester came in, he was like this unbeatable character.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movie came out, and then Hulk Hogan was finally able to beat him. But it's funny where he went. He ended up being that character in the movie Friday.
Right.
You got knocked up. That
Right.
is just hilarious.
But the controversy was with the drug charges, okay, the steroid usage, and supposedly, Vince McMahon being the guy that was giving them the steroids. And Hogan actually testified against McMahon in a court of law. And that really blew things up. And there was a lot of controversy over all that, and it went on for years. And literally, I mean, you look back, there was a lot of wrestlers that looked like they was really roided up. I mean, look what happened with Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. I mean, Chris Benoit, and this is a wrestler who was in WWE. He had wrestled the night before. He was due to wrestle that night on Monday Night Raw. And all of a sudden, we're getting news feeds of how Chris Benoit had killed his wife and his kids and then killed himself. And there was no mention of it on Monday Night Raw. It was just like, they mentioned his wife, who was a WWE celebrity. She used to be the wife of a guy called the Taskmaster. And this was before he was in the Horsemen. And I want to say that was... That whole thing started out at WCW and then came to WWE with the whole Taskmaster and Chris Benoit thing.
You got to give Macho Man his credit, too. Because Macho Man, if there was no war between Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, I don't think...
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. The war between Macho Man and Hogan was all fake.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so epic that...
Yeah.
I mean, Macho Man as a character was just gold, especially with Hulk Hogan.
I was surprised that he didn't go back to wrestling. I mean, you seen him in the Spider-Man movie. He was Buzzsaw. That was the last thing he ever did, was the Spider-Man movie where he was playing Buzzsaw or Hacksaw or whatever his name was in Spider-Man. And then he gets into a car accident and dies. But he was in shape at the time of his death. I mean, he could have literally returned to wrestling and been a superstar.
And Roddy Piper, he could fight in real life. Like, he was...
I think Roddy Piper could have been a great actor. I loved him in They Live.
Yeah.
They Live, that movie rocked. I mean, it's going to be a cult classic for years, and it was like the only movie that Piper did, and he did well. Yep. I mean, so now we've went on to WWE conspiracies.
Yeah,
but honestly,
the WWE is a conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with the WWE. It is entertainment. It is scripted. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's fake. There is grudges that go on behind the scenes. There is, people make mistakes and they don't pull punches sometimes. I've seen where Psycho Sid gets up on the top rope.
That's not real. That's called fake, Ghost Mom.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
The one I see, and look, you can look it up on YouTube right now. Type in Psycho Sid breaks leg in ring.
I would say it was an athletic show, but definitely not. It was fake. It was not, when it comes to fighting, it was not real fighting. No way. You don't throw somebody at the ropes and then they go running at the ropes, bounce off the rope, and then come running back at you in a real fight. Like, come on. It just doesn't happen. But there was some really awesome... I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was all real.
I said, look, you tell me when Owen Hart dropped from that rigging and died, That wasn't real enough for you? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
but I'm
real
saying
dangers in it.
fight-wise.
Yeah.
Fight-wise, it wasn't a real fight. It was,
I've seen actual real fights that happened that, they got in there and they're supposed to be pulling punches and they're supposed to be, acting, and it turns into an actual fight, like bloody noses and knuckles and fists, and like they're really going at it.
well, I
But
remember when they used to take a little piece of razor, wipe their head,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're bleeding, blood everywhere because you get a little tiny hole in your head and it bleeds like a sieve. Ric Flair was like known for doing it the most. You see that guy's head is just a big scar.
Oh man, Mick Foley.
Oh, that dude. Now, all right, that's the
That's
one
got to be
guy I
my
would
that's
say
got to
is
be my
just
number
totally
one.
Nuts.
He literally started out going over to Japan, and Japan, it's real. There is no pulling punches. They actually do throw people into real barbed wire and all that stuff. It's really real over there. And like this dude was totally nuts.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was crazy.
He would put himself through just about anything. And yeah, Mick Foley was the most insane wrestler out there. When he came to the WWE,
Agreed.
I mean, he agreed to let the Undertaker put him through Hell in a Cell, and he drops 15 feet and lands in the ring. And the ring was they had it rigged to where the ring would collapse in the center and drop down and kind of cushion his fall. Well, it didn't, and he literally damn near broke his back on that fall. But he still got up and went back up the thing and got put through a table. Now that's insanity
he was
right
nuts. He
there.
was
That's
nuts.
straight up insanity. Wasn't there a wrestler who had a wife hiring a hitman? There was rumors of Diamond Dallas Page's wife supposedly hiring a hitman to do in Diamond Dallas Page, and that was after she posed for Playboy and left him. But again, that could be part of the storyline. I don't know how true that is.
Do you remember? What was his name? Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Bruce?
And then he got into like some boat accident, and when he came back, he didn't look nothing like
Yeah.
he did before. Like he just looked like a completely different person.
The controversy behind the WWE, the biggest one that I know of, is when Miss Elizabeth died. She died of a drug overdose, and she was with Lex Luger at the time. Now, supposedly they were friends. She was still married to Macho Man,
Macho Man.
but they were separated. And she was doing drugs with Lex Luger and died of an overdose. And there was a big controversy, and it's all hushed up and kept under the rug. And you haven't seen Lex Luger come back to wrestling since. You haven't seen him do any appearances, nothing.
Well, I think we might as well just change the show now over to wrestling. Remember, wrestling trivia.
Well, it's not really trivia, but I'm covering like actual controversies, the Benoit murders, the suspicious death of Miss Elizabeth. There's a lot of controversies in wrestling when it comes
They
down to
said
those characters.
that the death of Owen Hart was a murder.
Yeah, and it could have been. Supposedly, the rigging broke. I don't know how true that is.
There's actually a conspiracy out there that it was a setup, and he was killed. I don't.
And Jenna Randolph wants me to let you know that she says hi, Lou.
She said what?
She said hi.
Oh, hi, Jenna. I thought you said Tyler.
No, Jenna Randolph.
Tyler Durden.
And Lady Swan, okay, this chat has put me to sleep. She's not a big wrestling fan. Not unless it's The Rock.
What kind of rock? Like Lou Rock?
No, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I see how it is.
Oh. I can't get enough of cage fighting men that keep on my toes so damn brutal.
I like UFC. UFC, that's where it's at right there. Two men go into a ring, tear each other's lives apart. I liked UFC before there was like weight classes and rules and you couldn't gouge somebody's eyeballs out. Like it was straight. You could do anything. No kicking to the face. You used to be able to kick to the face.
Sandra Blanchard said, "Didn't the Giant have a heart attack?" The Giant, Andre the Giant, actually had a. It was a medical condition called giant bifida or something like that.
Yeah, wasn't it like a pituitary gland issue?
Yes, he actually started out small. I watched a documentary on him on HBO, and he started out as a small guy.
He was ginormous.
And literally, when he hit that growth spurt, the growth spurt never stopped. Like, you know how kids will hit that growth spurt and they'll grow 6 inches in a year. He literally grew like feet in a year. And literally, he was getting so big, his heart was enlarged. And he kept growing. His organs were still growing when he died. His heart just gave out. Jenna says, I sang tonight. I seen you, Jenna.
As well. He was too big of a man to be getting slammed around in a wrestling ring. Think about the stress that put on him. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that Titanic thing. I want to know more about that. I want to look up the Olympia and all that stuff about the Titanic, because I'm wondering. It's got me curious now, because it's a totally plausible conspiracy theory. You know?
Yo. Batman's ghost says Andre was a heavy drinker.
He was. He had been known to go through cases of wine in a sitting. He could literally drink like 109 beers in one sitting and still not be drunk.
That's crazy.
I mean, the best I've ever done is like 29 beers in like 4 hours and still not be drunk. But, you know, with his size and weight and everything, he just metabolized it. So
that's it. 29 beers.
29 beers. I'm not a heavy drinker.
I got you beat. I used to binge drink.
Well, I mean,
one summer.
In 4 hours, the bar closes, so I couldn't get any more beer.
Yeah, one summer, me and my friends, we got into a stupid practice, shotgunning beers. And that's where you try to drink the beer in like one sip. This was gross. And like we ended up, that's why I don't drink. I'll never drink again. Because that one summer, I call it the summer of drunkenness. And oh my gosh, we got bad. We got really bad.
Well, we didn't have anybody that really wanted to come up tonight. That was unusual. So, but
we could have invited our alien up, but we can't expose that information at this time.
Yeah. A Night to Remember is the best Titanic movie.
I can't wait to be able to actually share what we're talking about.
Right.
I cannot wait.
Look.
So everybody can see it for themselves.
The fact of the matter is, guys, you're just going to have to take me at my word. Lizard people do exist. I've seen it for myself.
Evan's seen it.
I've seen it for myself.
Seen it. JoJo's seen it.
I am a believer now. I've seen it for myself.
I think that was it, I think, right?
No, Lady Swan's seen it too.
Lady Swan.
Yep. Yeah, so
And
there,
my uncle Mark seen it.
it is true. It's out there. I've seen it for myself, and it was just like they were showing off. They lifted their glasses, looked at the thing, and like it was creepy.
weird.
It was straight up, just like out of Men in Black. The eyes literally like.
And I've
it
seen
was
videos
creepy.
of that before, but I would have never expected it to be somebody in our community. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Somebody we all know.
Yeah.
So question everything and watch closely because you never know. You might see it for yourself. If you do, let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you find what we're talking about.
If you find evidence of lizard people on YouTube, let us know. We want to know. Oh my God, I can't wait for you to share who it is. We can't share that out right now. But if you go out and watch the videos, watch.
We'll give you this hint. It's in this community.
Yeah, that's true.
It's in this community, so just watch other people's videos. And I'll give you another hint. It was filmed earlier this week. And I know that's very vague, but those are the two hints you can have.
And here's the one hint I'll give you. I have not seen the person in our chat tonight.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm just saying. Have not seen him there.
That's a good hint right there.
So it's not anybody that has been in here so far. Lizard People reminds me of the miniseries V. Yes.
Didn't you say that when we seen it? You're like, that reminds me.
Yeah. V was like the one show. Okay, so and I told you earlier that I was kind of a gore hound when I was a kid. Always into horror movies. You know, I knew about the horror movies that was coming out long before you ever seen like a trailer for them, and I would know about them. And when V first came out, like I was really into that show because it had Robert Englund in it. Robert Englund was one of the lizard people in V.
And that
Robert
was
Freddy. Englund is the guy that plays Freddy Krueger.
Yep.
I know who you're talking about. Okay, Donna, well, keep it to yourself. Just know and watch. Watch.
Did you see it, Donna? That's the question. Because you got to see it. Because we're not just up here talking smack.
We're not
just
blowing smoke.
We're not just making something up or it's a joke. It's not a joke. It is 100% real. I was just stumbling around through videos. I ended up noticing it, and I was like, what the hell is this? No way. And I've always studied the conspiracy about the lizard people, and I've seen other videos on them shape-shifting and the way that their teeth, their hands, their eyes morph on video. And I've even heard theories that sometimes it's the video that exposes their camouflage. And this was literally blatant. Like, look at my eyes. They're gonna do something, and then boom.
it was straight up like this, guys. It was like straight up, just like that.
Yep. Let me lift my glasses, and then boom, you can see my eyes doing the crazy lizard thing.
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have seen it for myself. I never believed in reptilians till I came face to face with one. No. Jenny Martha says, I've seen it.
What was the clue, says Jenna Randolph? The person was not in here. It's
They're
somebody in the community. And what was the last clue?
I don't remember. You'll have to rewind it. Mile High Savage says, was it Logan Paul? LOL.
It may have been Logan Paul.
It may have been Logan Paul, but he's not
If
really
Logan
in
Paul was
our
part of this
community.
community.
Yeah. He's not really in our community, nor does he come into my chats. So, what
Jenna,
video
we
is
can't
it?
share it
we
right
can't
now.
we can't share that out because we don't want to get that going. You know, we don't want to single them out or anything like that. We're just saying that there is one in the community, is a YouTuber. Seen it for myself. I'm a believer. Reptilians are real. Real.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, no joke, real. I would say this is the first time that I've seen somebody that I know exhibit that kind of behavior. Like, and if it fits though, like it does definitely fits. But yeah, I'm gonna eventually figure out a way to show it to everybody, and then you guys can tell me if I'm just stupid or wrong. But I doubt it.
Yeah, Mile High says most RG. There's very few people that come here that everyone doesn't know. There's always lurkers. You know what I mean?
I don't know. This show has gotten a pretty big audience.
Yeah, we were up above 60 tonight in the chat at one time, and we're down to 40 now. We got 68 likes on here. Average viewer duration of about 16 minutes and 10 seconds so far, and it keeps going up. So, I mean, chat rates at 10, playbacks at 329. Kicking
Mile
some
High
butt.
Savage asks, "Is it a YouTuber?" Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Lou, hush, you're giving it away, Donna Rock says.
I'll give it away when I actually can show the video.
Yeah, that'll be a dead giveaway. Lou, tell me on Twitter.
I can't. I'm sorry, I can't, because it'll spread like wildfire. It'll spread like wildfire.
Easily Distracted says, I've seen ghosts and believe in seeing in past and future through different dimensions.
Yeah, easily distracted. This is like if I were right here in this video, like if I had glasses on and if I just lifted my glasses and then you see my eyes blink, not up and down, but just my eyes blink sideways.
I mean, like I said, it looked like that dude from freaking Men in Black.
Men in Black. Yeah,
at the
scene
beginning.
from Men in Black where he looks at the guy and the guy blinks his eyes
Sideways.
sideways.
They were
way.
gills. He was trying to breathe.
Yep.
He was out of breath. Okay, there is few that wear glasses.
A lot of YouTubers wear glasses. Boomer wears glasses. I've seen Ghost Mafia wear
I
glasses.
wear glasses.
Sunglasses.
Bifocals. I got the old man glasses, see? Got
A
my
lot
glasses on.
of YouTubers wear sunglasses to block out the lights that are shining in your face.
I got the sunglasses too. There we go. Ooh, these things need cleaned. All right, so we are at the 2-hour mark, guys. If you have any conspiracies that you want us to talk about next week, send us a message. We'll talk about them as long as we can talk about them. There's certain conspiracies that we can't talk about as part of the YouTube guidelines. But, we get into stuff. And we usually bring up some older ones and things like that, forgotten ones. If we know new information, the older ones, we'll bring them back up. And, yeah. And if you want to be on the show, contact me or Lou. Let us know. And we'll get you up here with us. That would be awesome. LOL, hey, I said that like 10 minutes ago before you said it, it was part of the community. Yeah. PewDiePie. What's weird about blinking sideways?
Oh no, we got another one in the chat.
A what?
Uh, Jenna says, "What's weird about blinking sideways?" So I guess it's
Oh,
normal
Jenna
for her.
Randolph. Oh, Jenna Randolph.
Jenna, we're talking about eyes. Where the frick is my camera? Oh, all right.
Mudcon says go for 3 hours. Go
All
for
right,
3
we're not
hours.
talking about your eyes blinking like this. We're talking about if your eyes were wide open and then your eyeballs, your iris, what is that part called?
Iris.
Retina?
Yeah, retina, iris.
Or your iris blinks like this, sideways. Bloop. Like a lizard.
Like a vampire.
Whatever. To me, it looks like a lizard. So, yeah. Just like the movie Men in Black. That's how I got to describe it. It looked just like that. And it was a live stream. So, got to rule out CGI and editing effects. Impossible.
Dorium says, like the new look, Ghost Mafia. Yes, I'm running OBS tonight. When I started, I had more stuff going on in here. I had like the little tip jar, and I had the chat and stuff like that. And the chat hadn't loaded up yet. I think that's what was lagging out my OBS when I started was the chat box. Because as soon as I took that off the OBS, it's been running fine. I haven't seen any lag. Haven't seen any, any of that stuff. But that, and again, like any donations to the channel or super chats, always go back into the channel, whether it be programs like this to make the content better or new equipment or anything like that. So any super chats or PayPal donations are always welcome because it always goes back into the channel. So like a shark, it does that eye thing too. Like a shark.
Or like a chameleon. I've seen chameleons' eyes go sideways. Well, their eyes kind of move weird. I don't know.
Jenna says, I was confused as to what you meant. But wouldn't that be what she say if she was trying to keep it quiet?
I literally, I know that if I put this into video, it will go viral. That's how amazing the evidence is. I know for 100% fact that video will go viral. But it's got to be done with the right finesse, I would say. I don't need the Men in Black or, on the other hand, the reptilian people banging down my door, kidnapping me.
Dory says, you're killing Ghost Mafia. Thanks. Another Clue live stream.
Yeah, another clue is it was a live stream.
Oh, the other clue was it was a live stream. Okay. That was the clue that we couldn't remember. Gotcha. 37 people in here. I don't know, Lou. It's up to you, man. You want to go for a little while longer?
Yeah, I mean.
All right. We'll go a little bit longer. We'll go for a little while longer.
We could play the guessing game until somebody gets it.
You know what? I think since MudCon wants us to go a little bit longer, I think he should get up here on the panel with us. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay. All right.
MudCon, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
That's right.
Come up here and join the panel.
Get on up. Hold on. I'm going to send MudCon an invite on his Hangouts right now. There he is. Bam. Get on up here, MudCon. We know you've been lurking out there for a while. Jenny says, damn, Lou. Damn, now I'm going to be up to look for it. Guys, share this out. We're going to go a little bit longer than usual tonight. We're going to go over the 2-hour mark. We usually keep it at 2 hours, but we're going to go over the 2-hour mark tonight just for a while. Mafia, would you and Lady Swan do Paracon again? Oh, hell yes. In fact, we're planning on doing the Paracon at the West Virginia State Penitentiary again next year. But next year, we're going to treat it like a YouTube meetup. We're actually going to rent one of the booths there at the Paracon, and myself, Lady Swan, and a few other YouTubers that come in with us are going to be set up at that booth. So if anybody's in the area of Moundsville, West Virginia, for the Paracon at the West Virginia State Penitentiary next year around this time, stop by and be able to meet up with us. And I think Lou Rock's going to try to get there too, ain't you?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
That'd be awesome, dude.
I need to get on the road again soon, man. I need to get out there in the world. Hit some different states up.
We are here. Bill 56, Bel Air, what's going on?
I got to get out there and prove the existence of lizard people.
Man, I don't know, man. I'm thinking, yeah, it's kind of scary to think that they're out there like that, dude. You know, this is somebody that knows us, that we know them, and like talking about it, they could actually be lurking in the stream, and you know, dude, you better watch it. Yeah, you got to watch yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely scary. Just it was almost like a message too. It was like
It really was. It was
I'm
like
watching you.
Yep, it really was. It was definitely, I see you. I see what's going on. You know, kind of message there.
Yeah, it'd be cool if we could get like a bunch of our group of people to go to the next one and have like a whole clan of
Yeah,
YouTubers.
Lady Swan is checking into getting the penitentiary for the night before the Paracon for a private session, a session for just a few YouTubers. So maybe we could get Mudcon and them in on that. Get a
You
small
know what I'd
group.
really like to do? I would like to do a sleepover where you sleep. You actually get locked in a cell and go to sleep for the night.
Oh, we could do that.
That would be cool. Locked up for one night.
The prison riot scene is starting. Awesome ending to Natural Born Killers. That was one of those movies that was like, it was out there. It was almost like a LSD trip watching that movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Lou, are you ready for heat? Because watching Ghost Mafia fam, it was hot. Yes, it was very hot in that prison. Very, very hot. You got to figure those sandstone walls and block that make it up that prison, the walls are 6 feet thick.
I could deal with hot. It's the cold I don't like.
6 feet thick, and the radiant heat from the sun warming up those stones and that wall all day long, they will just
I think
literally.
I'm a lizard people because I cannot stand the winter. I feel like I'm out of my element, and you could literally stick me in an oven. I mean, I worked for years as a roofer in the hot sun, and I mean it gets really hot on a roof, and it never bothered me. I think heat. I'm cold-blooded. I need the heat.
Right.
It's because I'm so skinny. I don't have any insulation.
I'm going to rethink the way that I did things at the prison for next year. I think what I want to do is I want to get a project box, okay? And I'm going to order the electronic sensors and things. I'm going to make my own like multi-pack to take in there where I can just sit down, flip it on, and it takes the, it'll show the room temperature, it'll show, EMF, it'll show, and actually do like a sensor pack to actually sit down in the middle of the room with like the static detector built into it, the whole nine. Building something like that to take with me, because I tell you what, packing all that equipment around that prison, you're talking, that prison was 16 blocks long and 4 blocks deep. Has a lot of ground to cover. And then when you lose somebody, you're just running back and forth and back and forth and back. I must have covered 20 miles of walking that night. Crazy. And in that heat, it was bad. It was very bad. A lot of people don't know I have a condition called malignant hyperthermia that makes me highly susceptible to heat stroke and allergic to any and all anesthetics. So that for me that night, there was actually one point where I had to leave an area because I did get overheated and felt like I was about to pass out. So it was definitely taxing. It was I would have liked to gotten more footage and things like that. So I think next time I'm going to take a actual, like, instead of using my phone as my camera, I'm going to use the I'm going to get a new camera before then, I think.
Sanders says, "Hey, Mafia, did they get that person out of jail because they were told not to shut them?"
Oh, okay. So, yes. Yeah, they got him out. Okay, so we did the day tour. And the day tour was taking us into areas of the prison that people weren't previously privileged to go, whether it be because it was in repair or the one area we went to was solitary. And we go into solitary, and we've got a group of 75 people on this tour. Easily 75 to 100 people on this tour that's going through there. And Jason from Paranormal Quest is doing the tour. And he's telling people, you know, like, you can go into cells, just don't close the door, because this area, actually, the mechanism for the locking doors still works. So if you close the door, it's going to click, and you're going to be locked in. And we go on with the tour, and we're going through there, and somebody at the back of the line slammed the door shut on the cell that they were in. And yeah, this lady was locked in there for a good 45 minutes. The tour went on without her, and she had to sit in solitary in that cell for 45 minutes alone until somebody came with the key to unlock the box where the mechanism is that opens all the doors at once. Yeah. But, and it was hot in there at 45 minutes in a cell that's like, I want to say 5 by 9 prison cell in solitary confinement. It was crazy. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday's show on my channel, EVPs, with Brian's Paranormal Ghost Mafia. We'll be talking about that on Thursday night, and we're going to have Nero Trigger. He was there with us. Aniki Jack, Colorado Explorers, Lady Swan. They're all going to be up there on the panel with us, and we're going to be talking about it and maybe show some clips from the video. The videos are up. Lady Swan uploaded hers today. She put a lot of time and a lot of work into it, just to be disappointed because Filmora put a big banner watermark across the middle of the screen through the whole thing. So she's not real happy about how the video turned out. But it is up and you can watch it. Let's see. I don't think Mudcon's going to join us. Oh my God, Lou, I can't deal with the heat, but I'm happiest in blizzards. You know, I don't like the heat or the extreme cold. Like any extreme temperatures, I want to be right in that 70-degree mark. You know, that's where I'm comfortable. Anywhere from 50 to 70, that's perfect for me. But I have to admit, when the blizzards come on, you got 3 feet of snow out there, and you're out in your Razor or your truck with the 4-wheel drive, and you're just out playing in the snow, that's fun. I have to say that I was very proud of Lady Swan. She made it through that prison like a trooper. She was a savage. She was going into areas without me, without anybody else. She was going off places by herself. I didn't expect it, and yeah, her and Aniki went ham on that prison. I straight up went ham on that prison. It was crazy. I was proud of her.
Now she went in too.
Who, Lady Swan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Lady Swan went in the hole.
She had a ticket.
Who, Lady Swan? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We got our tickets together. It was like for the VIP tickets, which got you into the Paracon during the day and the lock-in investigation at night, was it came out to like $90 and some odd cents per ticket. So we bought 2 tickets when they first went on sale, and then Aniki got hers, Nero got his online, and we all did the meet up there, and it was pretty cool. The cool thing was Aniki came in like a week early. So we was able to take her out to a few locations around our area, which I didn't film. Lady Swamp went live a couple times, but I was pretty much like the tour guide, and I took them around to a couple areas, and one of them being Wetzel's Cave. And you can see, I don't know if Aniki will have that video up here in the next couple days. It's called it's. They actually went inside the cave and got footage inside the cave. Jojo Walker, damn, Lady Swan, I didn't know you went in holes. I tried to go into Wetzel's Cave. I looked like Winnie the Pooh stuck in the honey hole. It was bad. I had to back out. Known by PJ, Ghost Mafia, I can't control my core temperature. At 80 degrees, I can be cold, or even at 50, I can be hot. See, that's with my malignant hyperthermia. My core temperature, once it starts going up, it won't level off. It'll just keep going up. And literally, what I have to do to get cooled down or cool my core temperature before I cook myself is usually what I'll do is I'll get in the shower and just run cold water. And I'll be in there for like half hour, 45 minutes in an ice cold shower. Or get into a swimming pool or something, something where I have that cold liquid over my entire body and it helps cool me down. I've been into paranormal for about 20 years, so yeah, I was savage and pissed Red off, which was highlight for me. Pissed Red off. Oh, Red. Okay, so who she's talking about? She's not talking about Red Kryptonite. She's talking about Red was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood in that penitentiary, and he ended up getting killed. Somebody didn't like the fact that he was the leader and took him out, basically.
The story about the guy who was getting out was pretty crazy.
Ooh, what just happened? I had a drop off. Did we freeze up or something?
I don't know.
That's weird. It's like Streamlabs cut out for a second.
Tell him the story about the guy who got out.
Oh, yes, we were doing the daytime tour up in the infirmary, and Jason was telling us a story about an inmate that was in the infirmary, and he was a little on the crazy side. He just rocking back and forth in his chair and things like that. And he's in the infirmary because he's basically nuts. And he keeps saying over and over all day long, he's like, I'm getting out of here today. I'm getting out of here today. I'm getting out of here today. And finally somebody got tired of hearing it. He's like, oh yeah, and just how are you going to do that? And he reaches over to the guy's desk, grabs 2 pencils and jams them in his eye sockets, and it pops his eyeball, both eyeballs right out of his head.
That's nuts.
They life flighted into the hospital, and he actually survived, and he's still alive today.
I seen a guy jump off of a second tier with a homemade noose, and he braided the noose out of bed sheets and clothing and stuff, and and he thought that because it was braided, that it would hold his weight.
Wait, what happened?
And when the guy jumped, the noose actually snapped. It broke, and so he fell and he broke his leg and he kind of messed up his throat, but he survived. And yeah, so imagine that. Imagine survive like he survived.
Well,
Like a straight up suicide attempt.
Here's one of the stories from that penitentiary. When you go into the Paracon, you go in through what's called the wagon gate. And when you're going through the wagon gate, if you look up, there's the floor. And the floor is where they hung people. And it has the trap door, and there's a noose hanging up there, right? Now, one of the stories is that the one inmate who was sentenced to death was taken up there, and they were putting the noose on his neck, but didn't have it in the right spot to like catch, right? So when they tried to execute this person, he slips out of the hangman's noose. They didn't bring it down on his neck. He slips out of the hangman's noose, falls to the ground, hits the ground, the pavement on the ground underneath the wagon house, bashes his head open, still alive. Now, he's sentenced to death, so they put him on a stretcher. They carry him back up there, put him back in the spot, put the noose back on his neck, and this time they hang him correctly and his neck snaps. Could you imagine going through that situation?
That's
Literally, the trap door is got to be from the ground. When you walk in, you can see it. You look up, and that trap door where his feet would be standing on that trap door when it drops out from underneath him, it's got to be 30 feet in the air.
I wonder if there was ever anybody who was sentenced to death that was put to death and then came back to life after. That would be
Like a
pretty
Lazarus situation, huh?
no, kind of like say you were zapped and you were clinically dead, and they come up and they check your heartbeat and your pulse and all that stuff, and they rule you as dead, and then they're rolling you, to go get buried or whatever, and then you wake up. Can they say they didn't put you to death because you were clinically dead? What do they do then? Let you go?
You know what?
You
I
served
don't
your
know.
sentence?
I don't know what the. I guess it would be state guidelines would have to go on that.
Is that why they say until you're dead, dead, dead?
Lady
Hung by
Swan
the
says.
neck till you're dead, dead, dead.
Lady Swan says his neck snapped, and I believe it decapitated him the second time.
That has
Possibility.
happened a lot. People getting decapitated from being
Green
hung.
Bay Wacky says, Ghost Mafia, I question dog ham.
Green Bay Wacky, you don't even know what we've been through today.
Yeah, and seriously, you should have been here at the beginning of the show when we was covering the Boulder Buddies conspiracy.
Yes.
Yeah. True story.
Older buddies are directly linked to the reptilians through dog ham.
Through dog ham. Everything comes back to dog ham.
Yep.
You know what?
We were talking about the best animated cartoon ever, and I voted for Boulder Buddies because I'm your friend, and Ghost Mafia isn't.
That's not true.
He's my 31st favorite YouTuber. Beat that one.
Hold on. I'm sending out a couple of links. Because now we're just...
Can you beat
Now
that
the show is pretty much over, and we're just kind of shooting the shit about, things. So, what the hell? Ain't nothing wrong with that.
JoJo Walker seen the Reptilian today.
She did. You know what? I sent her a link. I would love for her to come up and verify that she's seen the Reptilian and it is real.
Yes. I'm still trying to figure out how she's breathing out of water.
What's
Welcome,
that?
JoJo Walker.
So I'm trying to figure out how she's breathing out of water.
Oh, no, don't give away too much. No, nobody said it was a she until now.
Well, we don't know. It's a shapeshifter.
That's true. That's true.
Could be male, could be female, could be schmale for all we know.
That's true as well.
You never thought of that, did you?
No. Green Bay,
I
check
did.
your hangouts.
I thought of that
Hang on a second.
long time ago.
Yeah, but your mind works that way. Ghost sometimes he likes to go the logic route.
I do tend to lean more towards logical thinking because I'm one of those people you would call a realist. I guess I look for the explanations. I look for possibilities, and if I can't find any, well, then there must be some truth in the conspiracy.
This is true. I personally like to think that everything is just messed up. I don't bother looking for logic. That's not true, I do. But in cases like today's case, there's no logic.
Yeah.
Story
That-
already
that's-
says it's a she. Another clue.
Said it's a male. It could be a she. It could be a he. It could be a schmale.
Sandra says, Lou and Green Bay, you guys did great singing on Cab Sevens tonight.
Thank you very much. I don't know why I get so nervous. Like I literally start shaking.
Oh, look at here's Green Bay Wacky in the Cuban hat. He's been hanging out down there in Cuba with Biggie and Tupac.
Didn't I see
Hello to
Francis?
my little friend.
I thought I seen Francis wearing that same hat tonight.
Oh yeah. What's going on, Green Bay? What's the
Wanna
newest
change it.
conspiracy from the Boulder world?
I made a video once that Donald Trump was a lizard reptilian. I thought it was hilarious. I only got about 80 views on it, but YouTube said it wasn't user friendly.
User friendly, huh?
Oh,
No, I've been busy today. I was on, let's see, Cap 7 Sing Your Heart Out, working on the Malibu for my daughter. I've been around. Oh, and I had to go help my daughter. She had a flat blowout. It's my life story. And JoJo got me all amped up this morning. JoJo, you kept me up to like 10 in the morning.
why are you blaming me? I didn't
You know,
do
and-
nothing
and-
but
okay,
voice
so-
my opinion.
You
And-
did it in a good way, though. You got us all excited. We were
This-
like, yeah, right, yeah.
This is one of those YouTube conspiracies, and let's bring it out. Let's talk about it. I know you guys talked about it on JoJo's show, and Green Bay talked about it. Look, I know that there is smaller channels out there that they hey, can I come on the panel? Can I come on the panel? When we're doing the shows, we like to have new people on, things like that, on my shows anyways. So we don't have the same people all the time, things like that. And then there's the family members like Green Bay and JoJo and that they do come up every time. Now, JoJo can literally take my channel over at any time she wants to. And she has my full permission to do so if she feels like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's one of those things. But
Well, it works that way with my channel too.
yeah, and it's true.
But I don't care. I was going to just start talking in your chat and chatting, and you just randomly threw me the link.
Oh,
I
well,
sure-
that's because
I wouldn't have cared if I would have just been a spectator,
you're not just a channel. Okay,
Oh, stop
you're
lying,
family.
Green Bay. You sent Ghost Mafia 14 messages.
No,
You know you did.
no, I was saying hi to everyone in the chat, and
But when people come in and they super chat you and expect a spot on your panel and things like that, and and if they don't get up there, they'll go back to their channel and start it up and start bashing you. Or if you don't answer their DMs in a timely manner or whatever the case might be, it's really, you just don't want to go back to their channel anymore.
Well, I'll
It
tell you
drives
what it
people
does.
away. If you want to grow on YouTube, that's not the way you act on YouTube, you know?
Yeah, I got a channel that's been doing that. Like, every comment they've been giving me is so negative, and I'm thinking, you're just pushing me away more and more with every comment. Like, I swear I'll never come to your channel now.
Because that's what happens is you're alienating these people, and
You said alien.
yeah. But
Jojo take over. Sorry,
mean,
go ahead.
for me, it comes to a certain point where I've got to block you because I'm not going to have somebody that is trashing me and then coming around and acting like it never happened. Like, that's just
Wait, isn't
not
that
cool.
how you make friends?
Yeah,
I thought
it's a
that's how you
flawed
make friends.
strategy.
Oh, motherfucker, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
No, that was a good video you made, Jojo. It really was. I mean, look at what you did. You got a lot of people inspired today. I was inspired. Cap 7. Everyone. I mean, you inspired a movement today almost.
There was a movement, and I slept through it. I literally slept through it because I was up on panel with Irish Whiskey Paranormal last night until like 6 o'clock this morning. And so when I got up, Jojo called me, and I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about? You was Cab 7? What? What's going on? Wait, what I miss? You know?" And I was like, "Oh man, you guys should have called me." I was like, "Yeah, I slept through it. I had to go back and watch. I had to go back and watch Cabs. I had to go back and watch Green Bays. I had to go back and watch Alicia's, and like I had to go back and watch all that. I was like,
That's
way
how the morning
behind.
started. I went to sleep, and then Dreamwalk Angel was still live. Went on her panel for a while. I was gonna go back to sleep, and then Cab's like, "Oh, JoJo just did this video. You got to see it. Got to see it." Checked it out. It's like 53 minutes. Got all amped up that I made a video. Then Cab was amped up. He's like, "I got to do a live stream about this."
See, and that's the thing. When I woke up, I wasn't trying to amp anyone up. I was simply just being me and saying what I thought of everything. And I went to bed, didn't think anything of it. I woke up and I'm getting messages telling me I gotta go into this chat. I gotta go into this chat. So I clicked the link thinking that it's a private call, and here I am on Cabs Live.
I know. I was just getting ready to go. I was fading off, and then JoJo's here. Okay, I got to stay a little longer.
Lou Rock, no, Red. No, we're talking about you. Why make it worse?
I got to ask you, what was the conspiracy you were talking about with the people getting hung and being decapitated or something? What was that all
No,
about?
that wasn't the conspiracy.
I came in late.
We were talking about like the prison, and that was some of the stories from the prison, like some of the things that had actually happened there, and was they kept it. That the conspiracy was that actually did happen, and they kept it out of the newspapers and things and kept it quiet. The guy had actually, it was a botched execution. The guy fell 30 feet on his head, and they just picked him up, took him back, stuck him in the gallows again, and rehung him. And this time it snapped his neck and decapitated him.
Oh,
Well,
Like,
do
and
you know the reason that Lizzie Borden wasn't convicted and put
'Cause
to
she was
death herself?
because they couldn't
Because
find
she's-
the murder weapon, or
yeah,
you
they
know.
couldn't
No.
prove it.
No.
What I heard was it was because
Judge?
she was female, and back then they didn't think women could do that kind of thing.
JoJo is onto part of it. And what it was is there was a Massachusetts judge that hung a pregnant girl, and they didn't know that she was pregnant until after they hung her. And so it was such a big thing that this woman was put to death, and then the baby was innocent, that judge didn't want to be known as the judge that hangs women.
Well, I
so
mean,
she-
and that's the thing. It had to have been a local judge because, I mean, look at in the John Wilkes Booth, Abraham Lincoln assassination conspiracy. Okay, there was 9 people put to death that were tied to the conspiracy behind Abraham Lincoln's death. One was Mary Surratt, a female, and she was hanged right there with the rest of the guys, put to death.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm confusing something. there was a law put into order that they had to hold a woman for 9 months before they could put them to death
Hmm.
because of
Yeah.
the lady who was hung with being pregnant. It wasn't why she was let off, but that was one of the reasons she was held.
I
for-
think she just lived out her life after that, actually, if I remember
Well,
right.
If she was a man, there would be statues erected in her name today. She started college funds. She built buildings for the town of Fall River.
What?
Oh yeah, she did
Lizzie
so
Borden?
many good things for
Probably
the city.
had a hard time scoring a husband, though. Talk about sleeping with one eye open,
Yeah, but she had a lot of money after the trial was over.
Wow.
She got the mansion she always wanted, but she did some things that if she was a man today, she would be labeled, a hero or something of that. I think there would be actual statues erected if her name was
No.
Billy Borden.
I have one question, okay? I've heard the story about her and the trial and all that stuff. But my question, okay, is did they ever physically prove that it was her at some point in time?
No,
Not necessarily when she was alive or anything like that. But
Circumstantial,
like,
I think,
no, she was well, she burnt a dress. She definitely burnt a dress. And so she had claimed that her tailor she had told her tailor months before that she got paint on a dress. And she actually said that that tailor told her to burn the dress. They'll make a new one for her. But the thing is, why are you burning dresses directly after your parents just got massacred in the house and you're suspected of murder? They had
Right.
no hard evidence. They had a bunch of circumstantial. They had nothing to really
Convict.
pin it on her, and it was the days before DNA testing and all that. So they, I mean, if she was caught today, I think she would have been convicted.
but I mean, like, I'm talking like not even in her time era, but I mean, anytime throughout. Because if she still has, like, they could still do testing on bones. You know what I mean? Like, our DNA testing's so advanced now that you can, even if there's still bones in her coffin, they could technically test it against anything that they had. The DNA may be old and a little bit tarnished, but you'd still be able to get something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that the doctor that did the autopsy actually boiled the skulls of both of the victims. That way, that the skulls were free of any flesh, so that he could show how the axe fit into the skulls.
Yeah.
Wow. What a horrible way to go.
And Lou Rock goes to the very building that these vicious attacks happened in, and then
I would love to go there.
slept on the floor
Oh.
where the stepmother was
In the
brutally
position
murdered.
that she was
Oh,
found
Man.
on the floor
Wow.
where the mother was found. I slept directly on the floor, and yeah, I was pretty crazy.
I can't remember, though. That's not the original furniture there, right?
No,
She
it's
has
recreation.
a lot of original pieces. The couch isn't original; it's a replica, but it's an exact replica. She does have some original pieces of furniture, but like the main ones are mostly replicas. But the lady who owns that building has done an amazing job making it period specific. Even the wallpaper, she had hunted down the wallpaper, and she has that place looking like it looked back in that day.
It's been a while since I watched that video because that was you and James, if I remember right.
Yep. I actually got EVPs that suggested she was being assaulted. She was being sexually assaulted by her father. He raped me, is actually what came through.
I think I had heard something in the conspiracy about that was a possible motive or something.
Well,
Yeah, I
it
got a
came through my
conspiracy
box.
for you for future episodes.
Okay.
Did Columbus discover America?
Oh hell no.
He didn't discover it. No, no. I know this for a fact, and I mean, history says that he discovered America, but
Right.
It's actually
there's
untrue.
there's actually proof that Henry Sinclair and Henry Gunn from Scotland was here like 400 years before Columbus.
Wow, 400 years.
Yeah.
And also the Spanish showed up in Florida. A lot.
Well, yeah, Ponce de Leon.
Yeah.
Is that RK?
Yes, that is RK.
Before all the YouTubers started going to Lizzie Borden, I had told Brian, I was like, I really want to go there. And he's like, why? And he didn't know the story. And I told him the story. And he's like, why the hell would you want to go there? And I'm like, because I want to see if it's true. And this
I
was
was the
before
first
the audience
YouTuber
had, like,
That I know of that went there.
no, like I'm talking about like James and Omar and
Yeah,
you, like
well,
before
that's what I'm
it became a
saying.
thing.
Me and James went, and then after that, Omar went, and then after that, that other guy went, from up. Anyways, a lot of people started going after me and James first went.
Yeah, but that was like what I was saying to Brian. Like I always wanted to go there because I watched the movie that they sell in the gift shop that you were talking about in your video.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched that movie when I was a kid. My dad actually, it came on the TV here when I was younger, and I was
Well, there was a lot.
interested.
You're talking about the one with the famous actress. Actually, that dress from that movie is in that house. The actual dress that was worn by the actress who played Lizzie Borden, and I forget the actress's name, but the owner of the Borden house actually bought that dress, and it's in the mother's room. And while we were sleeping there, there's just a dress there on a mannequin, and it's kind of creepy.
And here's what makes me think that I think Lizzie Borden was guilty. Okay, that's my opinion on the whole matter. I think she did it, and I think she was physically in shape to do it. Have you seen pictures of this woman? She was
a bigger woman. Yes.
She could have been a linebacker.
Yep.
I
Yes,
mean,
she was.
Well, I mean, you think of it back then, you kind of had to have the extra strength behind you to do
You know
anything.
what? Back then, there was no proverbial sickly-looking heroin addict chic models. Actually, what was attractive back then was
Large women.
larger women.
Yeah,
You
because it meant that they were
wanted
healthy.
a woman that had good childbearing hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, actually.
yeah, she was
It's been a reversal in society.
she's broad-shouldered and robust.
Yeah,
and
Hildegard from the old country could have lined up the men, you know.
I think
She looked like she could be a bouncer in a bar, or a female bartender that could hold her own. You know what I mean? That's kind of like framing she had. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
I think she was being abused. I think she called Uncle John up. Uncle John came over, hatched a plan with her. They had her sister go to the next town as an alibi. Uncle John set it up so he had an alibi. He was on a trolley that day, and he introduced himself by name to every person on the trolley. And there is a theory that there was men that came into the house. That was Lizzie's story, that two men came into the house, and they're the ones who did it. I actually think Lizzie was part of it, and I think it was a big plan, because that guy, Mr. Borden was very frugal. He had a lot of money, but he didn't live in the rich part of Fall River. He lived in the Irish neighborhood in a very meager house that didn't even have plumbing. And in those days, there was actually indoor plumbing, and they were still going in an outhouse. And you're talking about people of stature. And that was one reason she had a problem getting a husband, is because she was supposed to be an English-born girl who came from money, but actually she was almost a poor English girl, which doesn't even make sense, but it was because her father was such a frugal man. And in the story, they said that the night before it all happened, that the maid had said, would you like me to cook something for dinner? And then Mr. Borden says, well, we have that mutton from, it was like days old. And that all of them sat down and ate the mutton, and they all got sick from the mutton because it was literally rotten, and he made them eat it because he didn't want to waste any food.
Wow.
Yes, so he was someone that wanted to live like a pauper just to save a couple bucks.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, he was hated. He owned a coffin factory, a place that made coffins.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was into a lot of different business ventures. He was known as a shrewd businessman and a very thrifty person. Somebody who didn't waste a lot.
Now, see, for me, I think she's guilty, but I don't think she's guilty in the way of making it a crime. I think it was more defense and basically getting rid of her abuser kind of thing.
That's what I believe. That's exactly what I believe.
I feel like it was more of a crime of opportunity. She seen the moment. Maybe she was in an argument with the stepmother. They had been known to not see eye to eye for a long time, and I think, once she did in the stepmom, dad's asleep on the sofa. He's gonna be so mad. I'm gonna have to take him out too.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
wow.
I
What it
still
would take to do that? Oh,
I think the stepmom was covering for the father because he had money kind of deal.
Well, another thing is they didn't like the stepmother. In those days, if you had a stepmother, you were supposed to call them mom. And they called her by her name, which was a big insult. So there was a lot of animosity between the girls and the stepmother.
But what I'm saying though is I think she killed the stepmother first because the stepmother always stuck up for the father. You know what I mean?
think the stepmother was mean. I think
Could
she was
be.
a mean woman, and in those days, she could get away with it, but only to the point where she got her head cracked in with an axe.
wow. Hey, who knows what went on? Maybe she was part of it. Some kinky 1800s kind of weird stuff.
Yep. You're right.
Well,
Maybe
I
she
honestly
watched.
think the mother-
I mean,
Well, like, think about it, okay? I think the stepmother married it to a guy that's got money. She obviously knows he has money, okay? She marries him. She finds out that he's doing this to Lizzie, like, taking advantage of her, we'll say, rape, whatever you want to call it, okay? He's abusive to her. She's got to defend herself with him and still not lose her home kind of deal. I honestly think that she wasn't in on the whole rape thing, but I think Lizzie was like, you know what? You want me to call you mom, but yet you won't protect me like a mother.
Another thing is Mr. Borden had promised to buy a house for the stepmother's kids. And Lizzie and Emma were actually like they were really mad because they were like, how are you going to buy her kids a house, but we're still living with you? So yeah, there was a lot of animosity and a lot of anger and resentment.
Now, let me ask you,
uh,
Lou, do you remember how old Lizzie was at the time of the murder?
She was older. She was in her 30s.
I was going to say
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
30,
she was
yeah.
that old.
She was
30
like 37 or 38, something
Yeah,
like
she
that.
was. I knew she was older. It's not like angry teenager throwing a fit kind of situation. This was
point. She should have, in those days, she should have been married off years ago.
Yeah.
It was almost a fact that she wasn't going to find a husband because that's not the way things work.
Right. She wasn't young
So
enough
she was
anymore.
pretty much going to be the rest of her life all alone. Her father kind of put her in this situation, and she was kind of living in a hell. If you think about it, she was living in a form of hell.
Well, a lot of women didn't work back then. The men brought in all the money.
But they did stuff around the house, and they did things like manning stuff outside the gardens and any crops that needed to
No,
come
I
in.
mean it wasn't as easy to leave, like that they would have money to just travel and leave, you know.
Now with the Bordens, they had servants that came into the house as well, didn't they?
Yes, they had a maid.
Yeah, they had a
And
maid.
even they believed that the maid was even in on it because the maid was there the day it happened. But what happened with the maid was sick from the mutton, and she had told Mr. Borden, I'm not feeling too well today. And he was a mean person. And he said, you know what would make you feel better if you got outside and you cleaned the windows today on the house. So he made her go out and work on the house, and that was her alibi to where she was. She wasn't inside the house. She was outside cleaning the windows. And she was actually a witness to the men that were supposedly came in the door that nobody had noticed. And the maid, there's actually rumors that the maid was being abused as well by Mr. Borden. And after Lizzie was acquitted, the maid got a large sum of money and ended up retiring to a farm down south.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people got rich after that trial. A lot of people, even the judges. The judges in that trial, after Lizzie was acquitted, and this picture is in the Lizzie Borden house, all the judges got together from that trial, sat together, they took a picture, and then they sent the picture to Lizzie with a congratulations on being acquitted.
Wow.
So that's pretty shady when the judges in your trial are sending you congratulations.
You think they got paid under the table, you
I
mean?
think they got paid for sure. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
There was just so much.
I think they got something under the table.
OJ Simpson trial of its day.
You know what's funny? I was just gonna ask you guys if you ever touched OJ on your conspiracy.
I've
I
never
don't know, guys.
touched
Did you ever
OJ.
touch OJ?
No.
I've never touched that man
I've
in
never
my life.
touched OJ.
No, I've been seeing his tweets lately. He's doing these little video posts on Twitter, and I'm like,
But I do know something about that. I do, and everything that I've seen, I've watched the shows, I've watched the made-for-TV 6-part movie and all that stuff, and I don't think OJ did it.
there's a good chance he didn't actually. There's a lot of weird stuff.
From what
There's a conspiracy that says that his son did
yes,
it. And
that's who
Yep.
I think did it.
Yep.
He was literally just minutes away from that address. Ron Goldman and her were supposed to be at the restaurant where his son worked, having a party, and he had set up for this party, and all of a sudden they didn't show, and he was pissed. And supposedly went back to the house, and I think that OJ had something to do with it. Yes, but not until after the fact. I think that once his son realized what had happened and what he had done, and he was going to be going to jail, I think that he reached out to his dad, told him what had happened, and Dad kind of swept that part of it under the rug and
I've never
let
heard
them
this
believe.
before
Yeah.
about the son. I've never heard this theory.
it's actually, there was
Never-
actually somebody who wrote a book about it that was really close to the family. And it is actually a very convincing.
It's all that
story that
information
this
is
man
in the book
tells.
that OJ wrote.
And why would, because OJ was in the beginning, almost ready to take the rap for it.
Yeah, he actually came out on an interview and said, if I had done it, this is how I would have done it.
He did a book called that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It was to help pay off his debt or something.
Yeah, well, he was ordered from the trial that anything that he would ever profit off of it would go to the family.
Well, actually, not off the not off the murder trial itself, but the wrongful death suit that the Goldmans and them filed against him after the fact.
Yeah, he was found not
Yeah,
guilty, but that
thought
wrongful
that was-
death suit might as well put him in the grave because they took everything.
35 million, I think they got awarded or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of messed up. I mean, what? I don't know.
If you're found not guilty,
innocent in
yeah.
a court of law, to go to another trial that requires less evidence, and then you're guilty. I don't know. I would. That
Yeah.
was
I agree. I think that was pretty
that
shady.
bothered me.
Honestly, with the wrongful death suit and with my theory, you know, he kind of helped to cover up the fact that his son did it and kind of took the blame for it and then ended up getting acquitted. I think there should have been more emphasis put on the son. I think that the son should have been looked into more. He had the means, he had the motive, and he had the opportunity. And that's the three main things you need right there in that case.
One more thing about the Lizzie Borden case. Do you guys know that that was the very first murder scene that was ever photographed?
You know, I think I heard that actually.
Yeah.
I think I heard that. Are those actually on the internet, the photographs, or
Yeah, you could see them anywhere. You could just
I
look
didn't know
up.
if they were copyrighted?
Timmy,
They actually have them framed, sitting on the dresser in the bedroom that we rented.
Oh.
Timmy S says, I watched The Highwaymen the other day about Bonnie and Clyde. And somebody else was saying that the famous one is Bonnie and Clyde. That one is messed up. But I don't think there's any real conspiracy about the Bonnie and Clyde thing, though. It's pretty cut and dry. Everybody,
Yeah, I think so.
everybody knows the story. You know, Bonnie and Clyde, there's a song about it. You know, there's the letters that Bonnie was writing to the newspapers. Clyde actually wrote Henry Ford praising him for his V8 engine. You know, all that stuff. It was so
One thing
public.
I remember was they were saying he might have been gay or something like that. Little details to the lives of them, but I don't remember any conspiracies, you know?
I mean, the most controversial part is when they caught up to the one person that was with him, and they talked to the father of the kid, and the father wanted to keep his son away from Bonnie and Clyde, and so he made a deal to set up Bonnie and Clyde, and they told him, you're going to park your truck here and act like you're changing the tire, and when he comes back from town, you know, and they were at town with the kid that was with him, and the father set the kid down and said, hey, this is going on. Don't get in that car. Don't go back to the house with him. So they're sitting there waiting. The cops are in town. They get spooked. They leave without the kid. They're going back to the house, past the dad. His truck looks like he's broke down, changing the tire. They pull off the side of the road, and, you know, that's the end of Bonnie and Clyde.
You know what's funny? I used to live in Minnesota, and I found out that a lot of the gangsters used to hang out in the caves there. They used to pay off the St. Paul police, actually. I didn't even know that. I like my old state, you know?
Lava
That's
fire,
insane.
volcano erupted. What? Outdoors in nature, Kathy. Lava fire, volcano erupted?
Mm.
No volcano
What?
erupted. It happened in Shoeshorn, Idaho.
What?
I don't know. I'm not sure
I
what they're
didn't-
talking about.
No volcano erupted. It happened in. What are they talking about? What are you
I
talking
don't
about?
know. I missed it.
I'm like, I didn't know there was
I'm
a
like-
volcano in Idaho.
I'm looking up through the chat and I don't. I'm lost. Amarok said his son Jason was involved in a cocaine deal and he was dealing with Colombians at the time. I think the call was stopping him from having any money. Aniki says, "Okay, I'm back."
Is RK alive here? I mean,
He typed in the little private message thing. I'll be back. Or I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
And
I was
he
like-
hasn't never come back
No,
yet.
no,
guys, I'm right here.
I said he's
Oh.
back.
I
Yeah,
was
guys,
like,
I'm right here.
jump in, chime in.
No, it's because like you guys know how I am, goofy sense of humor, and I gotta.
No, but you can be serious when you want to be. Get in here and enjoy get in the conversation, man.
Yeah. The only problem is sadly I wasn't in the wind.
You was in the
If that makes
wind.
I was in the wind. I sadly wasn't paying attention.
Oh, okay.
Another one is Black Dahlia. That's another conspiracy thing.
That's another one. And the Black Dahlia thing, that was
And Marilyn Monroe.
the Black Dahlia thing had a lot to do with what's his name? Elliot Ness was actually like on the Black Dahlia case at one point. And he left there having not solved the Black Dahlia murders and went to Columbus, Ohio, where there was a string of similar murders after he had become chief of police in Columbus, Ohio, in a homeless community there. And the conspiracy theory is that the person was actually trying to
Elliot
send
Ness himself.
No, well, that's one of the conspiracy theories is that it may have actually been Elliot Ness himself, but they think that the person was actually trying to send a message to Elliot Ness, and it might have been gangster related from him taking down Capone and all that stuff, and they followed him to Columbus and was closing in on his family and all that.
Wow. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You're like an encyclopedia of conspiracies, Ghost. I just throw one out.
I get into the older ones, the Black Dahlia, stuff like that, Marilyn Monroe, all that stuff, JFK. I love the old stuff, the historical stuff. And Lou is more into like the new stuff. He knows the stuff that I don't know anything about. So it's just, it works for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. No, I think it's cool that you
Bay,
this stuff.
you are one of the people that I will privy to the evidence I found. I think it was today, right?
Yes.
Yes, it was today.
I found evidence today of a reptilian shapeshifter in our own YouTube community.
It's true. I seen it.
Oh my goodness.
You
is
seen
true.
it?
Brian did.
seen
I
it.
showed him.
Yeah, don't say who it is. It's a secret, but
It's a secret.
it's mind blowing. Brian, what did you think?
It's reptile.
It's crazy, right?
It's insane.
Hell,
There you
I
go,
even
Green
showed
Bay.
My dad when he was here, when we were on that call, I showed my dad, and my dad's like, "What the hell?" Even he was
Even
like-
Cab 7 is sold on it.
For real.
Does anyone know about Red Rose, the haunted house, or something like that? You mean Rose Red? Rose Red. Okay, Rose Red was a movie. It was a 4 or 6 part miniseries made for television by Stephen King, and it was based around the superstitions of the Winchester House. Rose Red didn't actually exist. That was just a made-up story and all the stuff that happened with Rose Red and the little girl and all that stuff. You can actually go and watch the I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, one of the two. But you can actually go and watch it. There's like 4 or 6 episodes.
Wasn't her name Sarah? Sarah Winchester or something?
Yeah, now it was loosely based around the Winchester Mystery House, and Sarah Winchester. Sarah Winchester, after her husband had died, was left the Winchester throne, Winchester firearms. Okay, now she was a spiritual, which back in the day that was like a whole religion in itself. They did seances and things like that. Yeah. She had a medium that would come to her house, and she would pay this medium to put on seances in the house. Well, the medium told her that she had to continue to build on the house to appease the spirits or to confuse the spirits, because the spirits meant to do her harm. And these were the spirits of people who had been killed by Winchester firearms.
That's exactly true. Yeah. That's why I think she had all those dead end staircases and all that weird stuff.
On Netflix, The Haunting of Winchester, actually.
It's creepy too.
Yeah, we watched
Oh,
that.
really? It's on Netflix now?
They have actually in the last
The Haunting of Winchester.
in the
It is
last
on
year,
internet.
they have actually found a new room in the house that they didn't previously know about.
It's a whole separate part of the house.
Well, it's not a whole. It's just a room. It's in the basement. It's
Yeah.
Where she did her seances or something?
well, no, it's just another room. There's literally like over 100 rooms in this house. Staircases that go to nowhere, doors that open up to just drop off from the second or third story to the outside.
Yeah, I think it was 24/7 for what, 20 years or something?
Something like that. Haunted Jim, what up, Ghost Mafia on Green Bay?
I'm gonna forget that. I gotta write that. See, I got a notebook finally. Tell me the name of that. But I'd like to watch that. What was the name of that movie again, JoJo?
The Haunting of Winchester.
Yeah, The Haunting of Winchester.
The Haunting of Winchester. Did they actually film it at the actual place or replica or something?
They
It's The
replicated
Haunting
a lot
of
of it.
Winchester.
Yeah. But now the stories that movie was actually embellished a lot, like the whole 13 nails in every door and all that stuff. That was hyped
Well, of
up for
course,
the
it's
movie.
gonna be
But
embellished. You gotta Hollywood it up. You know what I
yeah, it was definitely Hollywooded up.
Hollywood it up.
mean? When they say based on a true story, it's never fully based. It's
Right.
always got added stuff to it.
Are there any other famous house haunting stories other than you always hear about Amityville? Do you guys know
Ooh,
about
I came across I think it was actually let me pull it up. I came across an article. If you're looking for haunted stuff.
House
The
of the
Conjuring
Seven
House.
Gables is pretty famous.
the hound? Which?
Oh,
Sound like you said Gable.
The House of the
House
Seven
of the
Gables.
You talking
Seven
about Clark
Gable.
Gable, or something else?
No, this would have had to do with the Salem witch trials.
a gable is like a gable on your house.
The judge that executed all these people for being witches, it was his
Yeah.
house, and it had 7 gables to it, and it's supposedly haunted.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, some of those
So-
things I remember from that. They throw you in the water with rocks on you, and you drowned. But if you didn't bring yourself back or whatever, you weren't a witch, but you're already dead. So
Well,
So I came across something, but I'll tell you after you're done. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say the one guy they took up to the gallows hill, and they placed like a board, like a big ass sheet of plywood on him, and he had to lay there underneath this board, and then they stacked rocks on that board until it crushed him to death.
oh man, spectral evidence. I always remember about those trials. And you could just say someone you're pissed off at. Imagine if that was like on YouTube. It's like I saw Martha Smith turn into a cat. Okay, she's a witch. Let's kill her.
Okay, so what I came across was the house in the movie The Conjuring.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the original house is still standing, okay? And a couple by the name of Corey and Jennifer Heinzen actually bought the house, and they're opening it up this year to the public
And where's the house
My
at?
aunt actually went there.
in Rhode Island.
Yeah, my aunt went there, and that actual the there's a Bathsheba. Bathsheba was one of the devil nun characters from the Conjuring movie. Bathsheba is actually buried on the property. There's the grave with her name and everything. She was the one who killed her own kids, and it's a crazy story.
Well, what they're saying is they not only bought the house and the house is haunted. They've run into some stuff, okay, but they're renovating it. They're gonna open it up for visitors and investigators for later on this year.
I got one for you, Wacky.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was 3 videos ago. I put up the Palace of Gold, We was literally at a golden palace. We had Anarchy and Jackson and kind in there. We went through the rose gardens and all that.
Yeah, the India place.
Yes,
or
it's Krishna Palace. Back in the 70s, the Krishnas in that community there were dealing in drugs, gun trafficking, and all sorts of like mobster type activities.
Was that in Georgia?
No, that's in West Virginia. That's about like if you come next year, Lou, we're gonna be taking you there. Okay, we'll take you
what's
to
the conspiracy?
Well, the
about it?
conspiracy was that, and I actually know the police officers that this happened to. Merle Shepard, he was a deputy at the time, and Tom Westfall, who helped to write the book Monkey on a Stick. There's actually a book about the Krishna murders that happened out there. Now, the pond out back of the palace, which I show in the video, is where they found bones sticking up out of the pond, human remains. Now, when they called down to the coroner's office down in Charleston, they said, well, we can't be there till tomorrow, so somebody has to stay with the remains until then. And my friend Merle Shepard, who was a deputy at the time, was the one that had to sit out there all night by this pond with the human remains sticking out of it to guard that area alone by himself all night long.
Wow.
True story. And you can find the book on Amazon. It's called Monkey on a Stick.
Wow.
Yeah, Anaki's out there. She's like, oh, yeah, we did. We did so much. I forgot about that one. LOL.
Well, I forgot. When I watched the video, I forget if you touched on that or not. It was a little while back that I watched, about a week back or something.
But now, here's the thing. They actually tried the Swami, who was the leader of that community, and he was arrested and placed under house arrest. There is another one of those temples at his own private compound, just outside of town, and he was under house arrest. Could you imagine being under house arrest for murder and confined for 20 years? You know, because he didn't do the murders himself, obviously, but he was the conspirator behind the murders. So he got 20 years for it. So he had to do 20 years hard time in a palace. Like, yeah, that's messed up. Swami Bhaknapad, I believe was his name.
So you're into conspiracy. What about the whole thing with Bush winning by like 300 votes, like from Florida? You guys have any anything on that? Any conspiracies associated with that? I know that was random. The only reason I mentioned that is the other day I saw some snippet somewhere. I didn't realize that it was hinged on like that small of a thing.
Well, you know the Bushes, that family has been, has a long military background, and it has a lot of cover-ups through history. So there's a lot of conspiracy revolving around the Bush family.
He didn't win.
In fact, it goes so far back as
Bones and Skull Secret
Skull and
Society.
Bones.
Well, yeah, it goes back to Skull and Bones. It goes back to 1947,
Bush.
Roswell, New Mexico, UFO crash.
Prescott Bush was one of the biggest funders to the Nazis.
Really? I never thought of the Bushes prior, to...
Yeah, Prescott Bush was their grandfather, I believe. Actually, Osama bin Laden's, I believe it's Osama bin Laden's brother, was such a friendly figure with the Bush family. They actually nicknamed him Little Bush, and he lived on the Bush property.
Wow.
Yep.
Have you ever heard the one about the presidents all sharing the same blood or something?
I don't know about that one.
I've heard it.
Have you heard that, Lou? It's
Yeah.
something I read once, and it was some...
You have to be, there's a conspiracy that says you have to be a blue blood, and that these people are blue bloods, and they're actually born into the presidency. It's you can't be president unless you're part of the bloodline.
Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that article about the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia?
Which article?
The one that's on it's on National Geographic. I actually found this article that's actually pretty interesting.
What's it about?
Yeah, what's the story?
So the Menacing Gothic style prison opened in Philadelphia in 1829 and became the first U.S. implement solitary confinement. A hotly debated practice. Prisoners languished in gloomy stone cells with virtually no human contact, with hoods placed over their heads. Anytime they were moved, proponents of the system believed that the solitude would lead to excuse me if I'm mispronouncing this word, but penitence.
Penance.
Yeah, penance, which would ultimately result in rehabilitation.
Yep.
Critics, on the other hand, believe that an incited emotional anguish comparable to physical torture, so called Pennsylvania system, was replicated in several other states in Europe.
See, the
And then-
Eastern State Penitentiary, when they first started building it, it was intended to be a fort.
Right.
Okay, and they retrofitted it, turned it into a jail, and it was going to be the first maximum security isolation jail. So every single cell was isolation. So there's no talking, nobody else in the cell. You're in there alone. It's literally every cell is solitary confinement. And they thought that that would rehabilitate people. What it really did was drove the inmates insane.
There's actually another piece here. It says that when the prison closed in 1971, it is believed that the ghost of the inmates took back to the prison. Visitors claimed to their apparitions wandering the corridors and hear mischiefs whisper in abandoned cell blocks. And then this is actually something that actually happened in the penitentiary. It's basically saying that each summer the penitentiary hosts an annual Bastille Day celebration to commemorate the French Revolution. 2000
See, Bastille.
tasty.
It's a festival celebrating Bastille Day, which is a French holiday.
And 2,000 tasty cakes. I think that's how it's pronounced. Tasty cakes, a Philadelphia treat, are flung from the prison towers while a Marine I'm sorry for mispronouncing these words, guys. Antonetti, I think,
Okay, so that what they're talking about is when
is dragged to the guillotine.
Yeah, right. When Marie Antoinette was arrested and sent to the guillotine,
Right.
okay, one of the things that she was famous for was a quote that said that, I forget how it goes. It literally,
Have their cake and eat it too.
well, let them eat cake. And that was the term she was famous for
remember
putting
that
out there.
term.
Let them eat cake, because their people were starving, and here they were in the crown head, and they were fat. They had everything. They were lavish, crown jewels and everything else, and their people were starving. And she had said, "Let them eat cake," and it got out, and they were overthrown. They were arrested, thrown in jail, and beheaded. So now on Bastille Day, they have a festival where they throw cakes from the towers. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and they said too. Did you ever hear that they said some people? I don't know if it's true. They said some people could live for 30 seconds after they were beheaded.
well. You got to remember, the brain. If you are decapitated, the brain doesn't completely die from lack of oxygen for at least 12 to 30 seconds. So literally, if you're decapitated and somebody rolls your head down a bowling alley, your brain is functioning. You can still see, and you could still try to talk. You can move. You'll be able to move your face, things like that, but no voice will come out. You know what I mean? So literally, you can cut somebody's head off and show them their severed head or their severed body from their head, and they're going to see it. They're going to know that they've just been decapitated before they actually die.
Oh man. So
That's
you've heard
insane,
that.
man.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude.
Oh man. Yeah. Look at your body and know that you're dead,
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's absolutely true.
Mm.
Yeah, because your brain don't die until the oxygen stops pumping to it. And if without the lungs pumping oxygen to your brain, it's just like suffocating. Your mind's gonna panic, but you're gonna have, just like holding your breath. How long can you hold your breath?
Oh.
That's how long it would take your brain to die.
Oh man.
It's awesome. It's to me, it's really cool, on how like old areas that are like haunted have like a really good history, because like when I was in high school, I would like normally like if I had like nothing to do, I would normally just read a history book, when I was in high school. And history is actually something that like really intrigued me in a way, you know what I mean? It's always good to learn new things every day.
The first time I heard about that whole decapitation thing, the first thing that went through my mind, that scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where he's like, a penitent man kneels before God, kneels, and he gets down. The first guy that went up there, he didn't kneel, and that blade comes out and cuts his head off, and he goes rolling down the steps. Could you imagine just seeing that? And knowing, yeah, I'm dead.
Right. I mean,
So
it's
what
always-
about
it's
the
always-
people that train themselves to hold their breath for like a couple minutes?
Well, it's brain death that's gonna keep
How
you
about
alive.
what, Jojo? I didn't hear that.
Well,
How you-
Ghost said that you gotta cut off the oxygen, right?
Yeah.
What about the people that train themselves to hold their breath for a long period of time?
Well, that's oxygen deprivation to the brain. They could actually
Probably
could
live longer.
probably
yeah.
live a little bit longer. I mean, they could actually see and everything for good maybe 5 minutes before.
Well, think about it. If you cut a chicken's head off, that chicken continues to squawk. The body continues to run around.
18 months. That's the headless chicken. You remember
Yeah,
that story?
Yeah,
They fed it with a dropper or something.
Where did the dropper food go?
Read about it online. I just actually read about that story again like a month ago.
I know they've actually done it to a.
They gave it a name too.
They did it to an ape as well.
Oh, an ape. Wow.
Yeah.
hold on. You gotta back up and explain these stories to me.
There was a headless chicken that lived. Miracle Mike, they called him. Mike, the headless chicken. And this was back in 1945. He made the headlines.
Aniki's saying hi to everybody too, by the way.
Ionic.
Hi,
Hi,
Anarchy.
Aniki.
So
And
supposedly
Miracle
last
Mike.
year there was a story, and this is supposed to be a true story, about a man who had a debilitating muscular disease, and his entire body did not work. So he was basically
Cut out there. A man that what?
that his body was he was suffering from a muscular disease where his muscles in his body were deteriorating, and they deteriorated to the point where he was unable to move his body at all, and he's basically just a head in a wheelchair stuck on a body that is dying. And now the story was last year in 2018 that the first human head transplant was going to be done in China, and that this man chose to do it because he was actually going to die anyways, and that even if the spinal cord didn't connect and just the body functions, the involuntary body functions, they could get him to work, his quality of life would have been way improved from his quality of life at the time. Now, it was supposed to be done before 2018 was over. It's now 2019. I haven't gone and looked it up, but this guy was literally on Dateline and all these different shows, and he was supposed to be the first human head transplant, and the procedure was supposed to be done in China, and I believe it was actually supposed to be done by like Italian doctors or something. And
Was he a Russian guy? I
it was
Googled it.
yeah, he was something like that. He was like Russian or Czech or,
Well,
or something.
you seen the one
something
where
like that.
they transplanted a whole face on that woman,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They did the face transplant and it was successful. I mean,
Yep.
she wasn't pretty or anything like that, but I mean, you know, she was in a horrible car accident and it literally ripped her whole face off and
So wait,
destroyed it.
oh. So wait, Lou, that same that same the head transplant that you were just talking about, you said it was wasn't the surgery like based in China, right?
Yeah, I'm on it right now.
Because usually
Oh,
you
oh.
normally have like a 20% chance of living, right?
All right, man set to undergo world's first head transplant backs out after finding out love and became a dad.
Aw.
The 33-year-old man suffering from a debilitating disease who volunteered to have his head transplanted onto another person's body has pulled out of the experimental operation. Valery Spiridonov had the muscle wasting condition Wernig-Hoffman disease, which destroys muscles, nerves, and the brain spinal cord. According to the National Organization for Rare Disorders. So I guess he backed out. But this was supposed to be done last year, and they were actually gonna test a new mesh that was supposed to connect the spinal cord, and they were actually they were optimistic that actually the spinal cord would actually work and this guy would have movement.
They were. I do remember something where they were doing it to monkeys or something.
Yeah, they kept it just like the chicken, they kept
they-
the monkey alive.
They were doing head swaps, but they couldn't get it to work. They, especially with the severing the spinal cord and all that. I mean, I don't know. It sounds pretty crazy.
I mean,
I'll bet it's been done somewhere.
if you logically think about it, I mean,
The
you know,
Nazis were
brain,
the first ones to test it
Oh,
and really put it into testing.
as long as you can keep the brain alive by supplying oxygen to the brain, you could keep a head alive for a long time. I mean, literally, you could have a Futurama head museum, you know?
see, I'll bet that stuff goes on. We just don't know about it. I figure if you heard it in the headlines, it's probably been going on for 100 years.
Headlines.
Laboratories
Headlines.
somewhere.
I mean, think about it. If you got your head severed and then they kept you alive by hooking you up to a breathing machine and keeping oxygen flow to the brain and, reconnecting the arteries and, doing, what do they call it, with the blood, transfusion, and just recycling the blood. So as long as you're getting the blood and the oxygen to the brain, you could keep the brain alive.
So
Imagine
link-
being a head.
that link in the chat, okay,
Mhm.
is the doctor that is actually going to perform surgeries like that. He's the one that came up with the surgeries.
Is that it's an Italian doctor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
His name is Sergio Canavero, and he's 52.
Hmm.
People describe him as crazy as a bat.
Yeah, but they thought doctors were crazy way back when people were dying of an appendicitis. Appendicitis was it was an incurable situation. You were gonna die, and they had to do some crazy things to find out how to do the procedure without people bleeding out. I mean, all medical procedures at one time were looked at as radical and crazy.
Okay, so the plan for what he needs to do, he needs to find a hospital that's going to agree to it, because he's got to have a healthy human head and a healthy human body.
Yep.
It says 2 teams of international surgeons working together will swiftly and simultaneously lop off the heads of 2 men, one the recipient and one the donor. An accident victim, for example, whose brain is dead but whose body is otherwise healthy, and one whose body is unhealthy but the brain is still functioning.
And
They will then shift the recipient's head onto the donor body using a custom-made swivel crane reconnect and stitch up the trachea, esophagus, basically everything that's in your neck and that. And sew the skin and wait for the recipient to awaken.
Yep.
And most hopefully move.
actually, the theory is that because they're going to use like the sharpest scalpels ever known till this moment in time, and that the break in the spinal cord is going to be so precise, because usually when you have a spinal cord injury, it's blown apart, it's messed up, it's that you can't fix it because it's not precisely cut. And so they're using a mesh and the precise cut of the spinal cord, and their theory is that they could actually reconnect the spinal cord and get it to send signals and actually work.
So he's actually got that spinal cord issue figured out. He's got what he calls fusogen, which is a black waxy-like substance that resembles glue that will actually reconnect severed spinal cord stumps and coax and the axons and neurons, and will actually help it regrow and bridge the gap caused from decapitation.
Wow.
So they were
That's
actually
insane, man.
optimistic that this person is going to be able to actually use their body parts.
Wow.
But as a successful surgery, that's not their criteria for success. A successful surgery was considered, even if they don't get the spinal cord to take, that a successful surgery would be taking somebody who is going to die anyways because of their body. That guy had a degenerative muscle disease, and take a person who is going to die anyway, put their head on a healthy body, would greatly improve their quality of life, even though they would still be paralyzed, but they would have a healthy body and would be able to live a lot longer than they would have without the surgery.
Wow,
So that's how they're selling
Well, get this.
the surgery to the actual patients.
It's saying in here, okay, the person that came up with his fusogen stuff, the chemist that came up with that, actually lives in Langley, BC, Canada. They did a test on a rat where they actually decapitated one rat at the same time as decapitating one that was dying, and fused it back together, and it was able to move.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's amazing.
Wow, that's crazy.
The rat was standing on its hind legs within 3 weeks of the surgery, like after the surgery. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Well, guys, I gotta run. Thank you for having me up here, man. And
All right, yeah, we're
It's
gonna.
your show. What are you talking about?
well,
Thanks for having me up here. It's your show. Yours and Co's.
it's Ghost Channel, so thank you for having me up again.
You're
yet
the
again.
co-host. You're you're supposed to be here.
Okay, so
I'm getting at
thank you to myself for being here.
conspiracy theories with Lou Rock and Ghost Mafia.
Well, we had to change the name. We had
Yeah,
to
I
change.
saw that.
Yeah, we had to change it to Question Everything.
Question ever. I do like that name actually.
So
But
The X Files music going.
I do have to get up early because I have a function that I'm going to with my kids in the morning,
Ah, yes.
and I don't want to be dead tired when I get up tomorrow. So
I have fun with your
Yeah,
kids.
I'm gonna wrap this up anyways because it is getting late and we've been
all right,
on
much
for
love, guys.
3.5 hours.
Much lovely.
So,
It's a good stream. Thanks. Thanks for doing it.
not a problem, man. Not a problem.
Lou is just.
Yeah, he's. There's probably some dog ham sandwich or something there waiting for me. He's like, I'm gonna go eat.
The quick exit.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
daughter was supposed to be back with donuts, so
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So,
geez.
guys, if you haven't got your Boulder Buddies video, get over to Green Bay Wackies, get your Boulder Buddies, your plush toys, all that stuff. We shouted out the Boulder Buddies at the beginning of the stream there earlier. That was the
really?
Boulder Buddies controversy. Yeah, we was
All right,
talking about it a little
really.
bit and talking about
I
how
was working on my
the kids
daughter's
love them and
book.
stuff. And Green Bay Wacky will probably be going live here after a bit, more than likely. He usually goes live about somewhere between 2:30 and 4 in the morning, so you never know. So.
You never know.
And be sure to check out JoJo Walker Unplugged. She got a show on Wednesdays. That tell them about the show, JoJo.
It's basically, well, this is more conspiracy here, but we do weird products. Actually, that just started happening. Weird stories from around the world. Actually, this head thing I'm interested in now, so I'm going to be reading up on this.
Yeah, we definitely got to cover that on the show on Wednesday.
I'm actually interested in that. That's bizarre.
I can live forever. I'll just keep body hopping. Maybe they'll give me one that's not such a bad shape, man.
They made that movie about that recently where they were putting brains in bodies.
And
No Way Out, I think it was called. Or
we
something
were
like that.
talking about the footage that we got with Aniki Jack Colorado Explorers. Watch for Aniki's videos to be coming up because she's got some killer footage from inside Wetzel's Cave, the Tunnel Green, and the Palace of Gold, the Wetzel Cemetery. She's got a lot of videos to be editing, so I know she's going to be coming out with those here in the coming days. So definitely be watching Aniki Jack Colorado Explorers channel. Her and Jackson, I got to meet up with them. Love them guys. We hung out. We hung out at the pool. We did collabs. We did all kinds of stuff this week. Didn't get as much done as we wanted to, but we did learn some new information and things like that. So definitely check out Aniki's channel. Be here Thursday night on my channel. We'll be picking back up with EVPs, Every Voice Paranormal Stories, with Brian's Paranormal and myself, Ghost Mafia. And this week we are going to be doing the discussion. We're going to have Aniki, Nero, myself, Lady Swan, Brian up on the panel. We're going to be talking about what happened at the pen and what everybody was experiencing and what went on. And we're gonna really get into it and kind of give you the backstage, glitz and glamour and gossip that went on during the Paracon and the lock-in at the West Virginia State Penitentiary the other day. And so definitely be there for that. Brian's Paranormal. Well, what's Brian got going on? Is he going to be doing a singing stream anytime soon?
I have no idea. Well, I'm. You can talk. My mic's on.
I might.
Okay.
No, he's going to. I'll force him.
Okay.
Right
Well.
now, we've got a house full of kids, and
Yeah. That's understandable.
at some point during this week, he will be doing something.
And be sure to watch for Lou Rock. Will be going live on Monday night doing his EVPs and stuff. And Red Kryptonite. I know he's got some. He's working on some music. He got his headphones, and he's going to be working on some stuff. So be watching Red Kryptonite. And guys, thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
No, Ghost, you're forgetting something.
What?
There's only a day and a half left on that limited edition Nations 13
Oh yeah,
Productions.
yeah. Nations
Tapestry.
13 Productions Tapestry. Yep.
Yep.
Get
So
over to
it's
JoJo
over
Walker
on my
Unplugged
Teespring.
and hit up our Teespring for your limited edition Nations 13 Productions tapestries. Also, limited edition dog ham merch on my channel.
Yep.
Go over there, hit that Teespring. Chris and Son Ghost Squad the other night, she was rocking it. She got one of the shirts and she was rocking it over on Irish Whiskey's Paranormal channel. And yeah, I was like, I love the shirt. She was the first person to buy one. So
Nice.
the merch is out there, but it ain't gonna last long.
Nope.
It's only got a few more days left. I don't even know. I think I put it on there for 7 days or something like that, just to see how it go over. But thanks goes out to the Sharpshooter, the Mod God, for dropping all those links down in there. I know we got a $10 super chat earlier. I forget who it was from, and it's too far back to scroll back. But thank you for the super chats and that. And we will see you guys back here next week for Question Everything. We had to change the name. Sorry, guys. We wanted to keep the name, but YouTube guidelines and algorithms, and if we keep the name, it keeps us out of the algorithm. So we can never get into like recommended